Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The summit is about to begin. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The summit is about to begin. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The summit is about to begin. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Are you ready to build? If you believe the future is not something we wait for, but something we build, then this is your room. Visionary Builders Summit presents Building for Today's World. Visionary Builders Summit is the premier gathering of visionary builders, bold innovators, forward-thinking executives, founders, policymakers, and emerging leaders shaping the future of human capital and infrastructure. It is a strategic convergence of minds committed to moving from ideation to impact. At VBS, we explore what it truly means to build for today's world. Keynote speaker, Nduka Oyom, founder and executive director of SheCodeAfrica. Convener, Duru, human capital developer and strategist. Speakers, Chinecherem Nduka, Nafiu, Ishaq, Pius, Ikeoba, Ruth. Whether you're scaling a startup, leading a team, designing policy, developing talent, or laying the foundation for something greater than yourself, this summit is designed for you. Date Saturday 28th March 2026, time 11 a.m. Venue live stream. Contact us at www.visionarybuildersummit.com. Register today and join the Builders Circle. Are you ready to build? If you believe the future is not something we wait for, but something we build, then this is your room. Visionary Builders Summit presents Building for Today's World. Visionary Builders Summit is the premier gathering of visionary visionary builders, bold forward-thinking executives, founders, policymakers, and emerging leaders shaping the future of human capital and infrastructure. It is a strategic convergence of minds committed to moving from ideation to impact. At VBS, we explore what it truly means to build for today's world. Keynote speaker, Nduka Oyom, founder and executive director of SheCodeAfrica. Convener, Duru, human capital developer and strategist. Speakers, Chinecherem Nduka, Nafiu Ishaq, Pius Ikeoba, Ruth. Whether you're scaling a startup, leading a team, designing policy, developing talent, or laying the foundation for something greater than yourself, this summit is designed for you. Date Saturday 28th March 2026, time 11 a.m. Venue live stream. Contact us at www.visionarybuildersummit.com. Register today and join the Are you ready to build? If you believe the future is not something we wait for, but something we build, then this is your room. Visionary Builders Summit presents Building for Today's World. Visionary Builders Summit is the premier gathering of visionary builders, bold innovators, forward-thinking executives, founders, policymakers, and emerging leaders shaping the future of human capital and infrastructure. It is a strategic convergence of minds committed to moving from ideation to impact. At VBS, we explore what it truly means to build for today's world. Keynote speaker, Nduka Oyom, founder and executive director of SheCodeAfrica. Convener, Duru, human capital developer and strategist. Speakers, Chinecherem Nduka, Nafiu Ishaq, Pius Ikeoba, Ruth. Whether you're scaling a startup, leading a team, designing policy, developing talent, or laying the foundation for something greater than yourself, this summit is designed for you. Date Saturday 28th March 2026, time 11 a.m. Venue live stream. Contact us at www.visionarybuildersummit.com. Register today and join the Builders Summit.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm repeating that like 1 million times because I want you to really know that it's a good morning from. First of all, thank you so much for joining this morning, and with all the joy in my heart, I want to welcome you to VBS 1.0, VBS 2026. Thank you for joining, and it's a pleasure to have everybody on the in this room. All right, we believe that we are getting to a point where VBS 2.0, it might not even happen next year. It might happen before the end of this year. I believe so, and I believe that it can also happen physically. All right, so it's nice that we are connecting with every single person. I appreciate our guest mentors on the call in the meeting. I appreciate every single person for coming in. But I want you to do me a favor this morning. All right. So I want to appeal that the live link, all right, on YouTube, you can just get it and share with your audience, because we believe that you also have resource persons, you have people who look up to you, you have people who you have mentored in one way or the other, you have people who are connected to you, all right, family, friends, people who will literally pay to hear you speak, all right, and we believe that you are wonderful resource persons, and we do not take any single person here in today's summit for granted, and I really want to appreciate every single person. Thank you for joining once again. My name is JP Shobande, and I'm your host for today for Visionary Builder Summit 1.0, and I think it's a bit of flex for me, right? When we go down in history or in the annals of time, I can say, yeah, I did the first one, right? I hosted these beautiful people. There's no way you are going to write the history of VBS without me, and I really want to use this medium to appreciate the convener for this opportunity to do this. So I follow Emma Yabaga, and he said something. He said, creatives will change Africa, right? Builders will change Africa. People who are committed to doing much than themselves. People who know that they have not come to this world to do something for themselves and their families alone. People who are here to build something that is transgenerational. People who believe in transgenerational impact. People who know that their lives are tied to 1,000 persons, 100,000 persons, 1,000,000 persons. And that is why we have us gathered together, because we just know at a point in our lives, for anything to change, we have to build, right? It is very, very easy to destroy. It is very easy to pull down things. It is very easy to disrespect the effort of other people, but it is not easy to build. And much more than character assassinators, much more than people who just destroy the effort of others, much more in Africa today, we need more builders, we need more visionaries, we need more nation builders, right? We need all of you to build our nation, Nigeria, to build Africa. You know, Nelson Mandela said something. He said, the world will not give Africa the respect it deserves until Nigeria sits on that pedestal. All right. In fact, not just even Africa. He said the world will not give he said any black person, you know, from tied down to African descendants, the world will not give us that respect until Nigeria gets to that pedestal. And that is why we are coming together today. That's why we are coming together this morning. That is why this summit has been put in place for us to. Nobody can build in isolation, right? We have people who have been building for 5 years. We have people who have been building for 10 years. We have people who have built for 20 years, all right, with results, with impact. And this is why the Convener has brought this together, that, look, we need to teach people, we need to mentor people, we need to let people know that it is not a solo journey. It is not a journey that you have to walk alone. For Liverpool fans in the house, right? You cannot walk alone on this journey. There are people who have done that, who have been there, who are still growing, and that is why we are together. So today we have beautiful things planned out for us. And as your host, I'll just be taking you through the process, time by time, movement by movement, session per session. And we have beautiful speakers. We have wonderful speakers in this summit today. I don't know, I'm doing it like I'm with you physically, but that's just the way I feel. I feel like we are all together in a space, and I can see your faces. And if I get to a point when I begin to bring them up and begin to see their faces, and we get to learn and hear from them. All right, so we have our keynote speaker sessions, we have our convener sessions, we have Tedx moments where we have different speakers come and speak with us. It is not brief, but it is also a moment where we are going to learn again. Before I pave way for what is going to come in next, because I can guarantee you one thing, that your time is not going to be wasted today. All right. And we are just going to be having it back to back. Okay. So I can guarantee you that you can look forward to this moment. And I'm not just even telling our participants who are joining, no, but even as guests, I believe that sometimes when you pour certain things out, it reestablishes the fact in your mind. It strengthens your authority more on that particular matter. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Visionary Builders Summit 2026. And the theme for this summit is building for today's world. Building for today's world. We don't just want to build stuff. We don't just want to do activities and people say, oh, that guy is productive or that lady is resourceful. No, we want to make sure that whatsoever we are building is relevant, not just for today's world, but in the world to come, because the world is like, it's very dynamic. It changes every 2 months. Like Gen Z will say, it changes every 3 months, every 2 weeks, something new is popping up. So if we are building, are we building for the future? Are we building for today? Hope we are not just still stuck in the doings of the past, in the idiosyncrasies of the past. So that is why we are coming here today. So we are doing a lot of beautiful things. We are looking at the vision viability framework. We are looking at how we can turn ideas into impact. I know there are some persons on this call. We have different categories of people on this call. Some have built something, some are yet to build, some have built it has failed and they've built something else, right? And some just have ideas. They are still at the idea stage. Yeah, you're welcome. We have something for everybody this morning. And so we are doing different things. Who did you have to become to build? How does your brand intentionally solve real problems in the market? Or you're just building for the problem you love, or you are building for a solution you like and not what people want to get. All right. Are you building for the right people? How do you identify them? And the most important part, the journey of ideation to revenue. It is not enough to build. We need to make sure that something is coming in. All right. Except if you are doing an NGO, right, which is beautiful also, because in fact one of our speakers also is somebody whose NGO has taken over the whole continent. All right. So whatsoever we are doing, in a way, revenue is coming in money, revenue is coming in impact, revenue is coming in the wealth of people that their lives are being touched. Revenue can come in all of these beautiful ways. But no, one of the major ways also that we're talking about is revenue and material in financial resources. All right. So I just want to tell you that please sit back, relax. We are about to have a wonderful, wonderful ride. Before I pave way for, like John the Baptist, pave way for for the convener coming in, I also want to implore us one more time. Please and please take the live stream link, share it to your audience, share it to your people, share it to your friends, share it to your guys, share it to people that you know that this will be beneficial to them. And I'm trusting the capacity of every single person in this room this morning. They are not small people. They are tested, trusted, and approved people, like Bonner Boy will say. So I believe that it's about to be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is JP Show Bande, and it is a pleasure to be your host this beautiful morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to take much of your time. I'm going to be bringing up somebody beautiful to stage this morning. And how am I going to introduce her now? I think one thing I'm just going to say is that the reason why all of us are gathered in this beautiful hall this morning is because of this beautiful lady, a wonderful resource person, so resourceful, very, very high in different terms. The IQ, one of the first things that attracted me to her when we first met about 2 years ago, or 3 now, was just her intelligence. And when I discovered the many things that she could do, it just blew my mind. So ladies and gentlemen, our convener, the brain behind this, the heart behind this, the soul behind this, she leads the team. And she's a human capital developer, she's a strategist. For those of us who follow her content, whenever she drops a video, it is always a banger, right? And so she's a software and human capital developer with a passion for building people and systems that reflect values, right? So she equips individuals, she equips organizations with the mindset and tools to grow potential into purpose. For Christians, they say apostles in the marketplace, right? Apostles in the marketplace. So they might not be on the pulpit, but they are doing wonderful things in the marketplace and the economy. And Mercy Duru is that young lady, is that person who is changing the narrative in her own way. And ladies and gentlemen, this morning, it is my pleasure to bring to the podium, to bring to the stage at VBS 1.0, Mercy Duru. Please and please, can we welcome Mercy Duru this morning?
Hello, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Please, let me see you in the comment section. Just say good morning, say hello, say your name, say where you are joining from. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited that you are here too. And my name is Mercy Duru. Thank you, JP. Thank you. That was exceptional. That was amazing. Yes. Thank you. Hello. So please just let me see in the comment section. Say hello. You can tell us where you're joining from, right? I know we have a couple of persons joining from outside the city. So yeah, Stephen is joining from Delta. Nice to meet you, Stephen. So let's have that coming up in the comment section. I would highlight you. So thank you once again. Thank you once again. Priceless. Thank you. Tina from Lagos. Yes, thank you. Thank you for being part of this summit. My name is Duru, and like JP rightly introduced, I am the convener of this. So we have Tony from KD. Yes, all the way from Kaduna. We have people joining. This is amazing. We have Chigozie from Enugu. You can say that this is a national summit. It's safe to call this a national summit. Every region is fully represented: the north, the west, the south, and the east. Thank you so much for taking out time out of your schedule to be here. This shows the value you have for growth. We have Shalom from Lagos. So I think Lagos people are winning now. We have two people from Lagos. This shows that you have value for growth, that you have determined to remove yourself from the masses, to be separate, to be distinguished. And that is why you have taken time to be here. And I sincerely welcome you. I promise you, like JP also said, we have a lineup of speakers, and this is going to be an experience you will always resonate with. So quickly, my job here is to let us know why we are here, welcome us, and to set the tone for this meeting. So many people were like visionary builder summit, visionary vision. And okay, we have Sandra from Ibadan. This is amazing. Sandra from Ibadan. The West are winning. We're having Lagos, Ibadan. Okay, we're having Abuja. Nice. We're having Chika from Lagos. This is amazing. This is amazing. It's a national summit indeed. Good. So we've been talking visionary builders, and one thing you've heard me speaking on any platform, you know that I don't just believe in building, I believe in visionary building. So there is one thing to be a builder. Many people are building today, but the problem we are solving is that we do not want people to just build and there is no vision behind it. We don't want people then to just have an idea and they also don't even know how to go about building. So this is why you are here today. Whether you are the person with an idea, whether you're a person with an idea, you are going to learn how to execute it. But if you're a person who have already been executing and somehow you don't even know what you're executing, you're going to now understand what the vision behind your execution should be. So we're having more people. Chika from Lagos, thank you. Valerie from Lagos, thank you. Iyoshi from Lagos. Lagos is winning. Thank you so much. Good. So today we're going to, start with something that I call vision okay, yeah, sorry. We have Clara from Kaduna. I needed to highlight that. We have Clara from Kaduna. Thank you. We have Lagos. We have Kaduna. We have Delta, Ibadan, Enugu. This is amazing. This is amazing. So, quickly, I want to talk to us about the vision viability framework. I mean, if you're in a visionary builder summit, it's only proper that you understand what a vision should be. And not just that, we're taking it a step further into how can a vision be viable. So when you come into our community as visionary builders, we have a way we define vision. And for us, vision is not just I want to do something, I have this. Yes, every vision starts from an idea, but that idea has to be viable. There are many ideas, but now how viable is your idea? And so we describe vision as a viable idea with the propensity for growth. So those of us that have our writing pads, this is the best time to bring it out. When we say vision viability framework, so today I want to quickly give us a framework, because before we bring up other speakers telling you how to create revenue, how to build with the right people, we need to be sure that what you're even building is buildable. So how viable is your vision? So I'm going to be sharing with us a framework that you would use to test your vision. And at the end of this meeting today, we're going to pick out some founders who have been able to apply the framework I'm going to give now to their brand or to their existing idea, and we'll pick out a winner. So it's better you listen attentively, write down the strategies, and see how you can actually apply this, because this framework is applicable to every sector, every industry, and every idea. So vision is a viable idea with a propensity for growth. What makes a vision viable? The fact that you feel like you want to start this brand doesn't mean that it's going to scale. So today we're going to look at what makes a vision viable. Now, allow me to tell you that for your vision to be viable, it has to cut across 3 phases. Number 1, it must review trends from the past. Number 2, it must relate to the present, that is relevance to the present. And number 3, it must have projections for the future. I'm going to take that again. because remember I said we're going to be picking winners at the end of the day that will be able to apply this framework to their brand. Now, it must have trends from the past, it must be relevant to the present, and it must have projections for the future. So, what does this actually mean? Let's step it down a little. Now, when we talk about trends from the past, what does trend from the past do for your vision or your idea? How does it show that it is viable? Trends from the past show that your vision have a level of credibility. You don't want to wake up one morning and produce a problem that you cannot even trace that this thing has been existing. Because if you're talking about solving problems, it's because that problem is existing. So you need to know that, okay, this idea I have, this vision I want to implement, what has been the trend from the past? My dear, you and I know that there is nothing new under the sun. So there's no way you're going to manufacture a whole new problem. Something, someone, somewhere has done something about it. There's been a problem or there's been a prior solution that is no longer relevant. Which brings me to the second phase that your vision needs to cross, the relevance to the present. So imagine you have an idea and what will be used to solve that idea is a typewriter. In 2026, no now. So it may have trends from the past that yes, this typewriter has been used to solve these problems. I remember then when you want to go collect your certificate, they'll use a typewriter to write your name. But now they would even email it to you. So you see that that idea is not going to be relevant to the present because it's not adaptable towards the technology that is available in the present. So you've checked out your trends from the past, which gives it what? Credibility. Now you're checking out the present, right? And that present gives it relevance. If your vision is not relevant to the present, you do not have a market. The next thing you're going to cross-check is what? Projections for the future. And what does projection for the future do for you? It checks out sustainability. Remember, in this place, you're not building just for yourself and your family. You're projecting into the future. So can this idea self-exist without me? That's a very important question. Some of us, we are building to just have food on our table. That's not what we're doing here. That's the easiest thing you can do. Once you go out to the road and sell something, you would make money to have food on your table. But if you are here, it means you are interested in building for sustainability. It means you are interested in building what people will be part of. So you must think sustainability. You must think projection. So now we've cut across the past, the present, and the future. I want to give us a quick example because I love things to be as relatable as possible. So I'm going to pick a brand now and show you how I will apply this framework to that brand so that you also can learn how to do that. So I'm going to pick fashion design. That's one of the industries that is booming today. So as a fashion designer, I want to start fashion design. How can I run my vision through this framework? So I'm going to start with trends from the past, which is credibility. And you and I know that one of the reasons why clothes have been thriving is because people have always needed to wear clothes. But why have they had the need to wear clothes? That's because they needed to protect themselves from harsh weather. That's already an existing problem from the past. There's a trend from the past. Now, how relevant is it to the today world? Now, if you're starting a fashion design business and you are doing it because you want people to cover their nakedness and you want to protect them from harsh weather, you may not go far in that business because fashion has gone beyond that. Now, if you're looking at today's world, you realize that people have ascribed fashion to more of a status thing, a brand thing, a class thing. So people want to say, I'm wearing Louis Vuitton, I'm wearing Versace, I'm wearing Vicky James, I'm wearing Prudential Atelier. So they are not even really bothered about what this clothes is doing for them, but they are more concerned about the status it is adding to them, the class, and you do my OOTD. Why are we doing outfit of the day? It's because they want you to be able to put together everything that they have on, right? So if you are in that industry and then you're not looking for how to attach class and status to your brand, you may not have a large market share. Thirdly, how do you look at projection for the future? So some persons I've talked with, some business persons, they're like, people will always wear clothes. You can't be sure. I can assure you that you cannot be sure. The way the world is going, people can decide to stand up and say they don't want to wear clothes again. So what is the sustainability for your fashion design brand? Your fashion design brand is sustainable because there would always be a market to sell to. Human beings are not planning to go extinct anytime soon. I read a story some time ago about two men who went to a remote area, and they wanted to go and sell shoes there because they were coming from a shoe factory. And the first man went there and was like, these people are not wearing shoes. Oh, there's no need. He went back. The second man went there and said, these people are not wearing shoes. And he saw that there was an opportunity to sell shoes to these people. So that depends on how you see the market. He could project, he could see sustainability, that even if tomorrow somebody come and say people should not wear shoes, he can always come back and sell the ideas of wearing shoes to them. So for that brand, that is sustainability, that no matter what, you can always sell clothing as an idea to these people. There is always a market for it. So do you see how you've been able to run fashion design through the viability framework? I'm going to give us another example so that you get a better grasp of what this is about, so that this is a soft landing. Before you start thinking of scaling the idea, be sure it's viable. Let's use gadgets. So earlier on, before now, we know that people had the need for communication, right? So then maybe you're using letters, you have to wait for weeks, or maybe in those ancient times, whether they were using birds to deliver message, I don't know. But however, they needed to communicate over a distance. That's already a trend from the past, that basic telephones were solving when telephone came into the market and all these desk phone. Now, how relevant is a phone or telecom industry to today's world? How can we relate to it? Now, if you're just solving a problem of communication with your device, then you're not going to have a large market share, because devices have moved from just basic communication to be able to become an enabler. I think that's the best word. So right now, I was speaking with somebody, I'm like, I can just go out with my phone and I'm sorted. I know that I can send any email I need to send. I can capture any moment I want to capture. I can send any document. I can do a whole lot. So now the phone industry is giving you the advantage of being able to do more with less. It's not just some of us, you don't take calls so often. You can stay a whole day and maybe you don't have so much calls coming, but your phone battery will run down because you are always busy. So people are able to project that this phone can solve a problem that is just more than communication, and it can become an enabler. So that's how relevant it is. So if you're just making a 33 that just for phone call, you may not have a good market share. Now, phone has also been ascribed to brand. People want to say, oh, I'm using an iPhone this, I'm using a Samsung this, but it is still, the brand is still hinged on how relevant it is for the users and how effective it is for them. Now, how do you project into the future? Trust me, guys, phone is going to go beyond just all of these things I've said. I went to the bank one day and I didn't have a document. If you've gone to bank before when there was no of this phone, you know that once you forget a document or a passport, you are going home. No matter where you're coming from, they'll say they can't help you. But the lady over there was like, oh, I could just WhatsApp it or email it. I was like, really? She said, yes, I could just, and I mean, that's an enabler for something that started as a need to solve communication problem. So in the future, my friends, people will want to be able to do more with less when it comes to gadgets. And this is one of the things that from projection we look at would actually hasten the coming of the chips, which we said is going to be implanted, because people don't want to even hold a gadget anymore. They just want a chip that they can make payments with, they can have access into rooms, they can do anything with. So if you're in that industry, you're already looking at the projections that these technologies are becoming more simplified by the day. Nobody's going to buy a mainframe computer again. It gets slimmer, it gets sleeker, and it gets more efficient. So I don't know what your brand is or what idea you have, but these two examples should have given you a run through into how to run the viability framework. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. I want to tell us about vision enablers. Right now, you have tested your vision and it's viable, but the fact that a seed is viable doesn't mean it's going to grow, because we need to look at what enables visions, and we're going to be looking at one example today. We can't take all of them, so I'll just focus on one and be out of here soon, and that is environment. Now, trust me, before a seed can grow or before it can germinate or anything, it needs to be in the right environment. If you have a viable seed in the wrong environment, you're not going to have any produce, you're not going to have any growth in that area. So let's look at an example of one environment, which is psychological environment. Your psychological environment is very important, because the moment your mind cannot capture that vision, it can never be realized. And this is not motivation, it is facts. Because that your mind becomes toxic to that idea. Now, let me use a similar example. I've told you guys I like to make things relatable. When a woman wants to get pregnant, there are certain issues medical doctors will say that the womb is hostile to the child. Good. The same thing with plants. If you go and plant maybe rice in a sandy place, it's not going to grow because it needs waterlogged areas to do well. So that's what we are trying to analyze here. Do you have an enabling environment for your vision? And we are looking at the mind. So your mind will either restrict you or push you. So how do you enable your psychological environment to be able to carry the weight and the seed of it, and the weight and the viability of your vision? Number one, step into the mind of doers. How do you step into the mind of doers? This is one of the things you're doing today by joining a summit like this. You get to see speakers who are here telling you how they've gone through the process. You get to read books of people. It's stepping into their mind. You begin to see possibility through their lens. So certain things that looked impossible to you, you're able to see possibility through someone else who has been able to achieve that. So that is one way to step into the mind of doers. It breaks the limitation around you. It opens up your mind to what can be possible. I mean, if this person can do this, maybe I can try. So some people stay away from reading books, attending summits. They feel like they can just go by themselves. No. These things help improve your psychological environment so that it is more friendly and becomes a better enabler. The next thing you need to do is to expand your mind by doing. My friends, it's one thing to see that people can do these things. It's another thing for you to believe you can do them. Because I've met people who will say, well, it's possible, but it's for them. We're not up to that, or probably we're not in the right situation. They just have an excuse for why they are not able to do it. And this is what I have to say to anybody who feels that way. The moment when you step into the mind of a doer and you pick, there's a time where you just have that moment where I can do this is possible. Then immediately expand your mind by doing. Because doing is what convinces you that you can also produce results. If not, you just end up being a recipient of motivation. The moment you start doing, you become what? Okay, the moment you start doing, you are able to step into that realization that yes, you can do this. And lastly, you're going to nourish the idea. How do you nourish your idea? You nourish your idea by 3 ways. I'm going to look at 3 ways today, and that is something that comes from how we nourish seeds: water, air, right, and sunlight. So let's start with sunlight. What does sunlight do for you? What does sunlight do for your vision? Now, just like the normal seed, sunlight helps you to release energy. Please just let me know from the comment section if you can still hear me clearly. I think there was a network glitch. Or the host, please. Let me know.
Yes, Mercy, please, you can go on.
Okay, thank you. So let's go back to where I said air. Now, one thing I have learned about air, or one thing that was very, intriguing for me about air was when I was in secondary school, they were teaching us about the atmosphere. And my dear, I was thinking that since human beings taking oxygen, right? Since human beings taking oxygen, that means the whole atmosphere will be filled with like 90% oxygen. But then our teacher then told us that air had like just 20 something percent oxygen, there was nitrogen, there was carbon dioxide, there were different constituents of air. And I'm like, this oxygen is not even enough for every human being. But that's what we saw was the constituent of air. That's what science told us. So what does this mean for your vision? People, let me tell you, there are always words to say. There's always, this country is not possible. Some people be like, to make it in this country is hard, or this vision is too much. How can I go about this? All of these. If you don't speak, if you don't speak the right words, if you don't speak the right words to your vision, then you are not nourishing that vision. So you must, if you hear people who have ever done anything, they were very intentional about the words they spoke about their vision. And that's what you would apply. And then lastly is water. One intriguing thing I've learned about water is that water cannot be stopped. If you block water today, it's going to find another route to keep moving. So that is the attitude you should have towards your vision. Keep moving. You must never be stopped. Once you have a viable vision and you are grooming the environment, then nothing should stop you. If one way blocks, be like water, reroute and find another way. So my friends, this is a way to run your vision, to run a viability test on your vision, and also to ensure that your environment enables that vision. Very important. I'm very key on environment because science will tell you that environment can have more impact than genetics. That is how intense environment can be to your vision. Environment can have more impact than genetics would ever have on your vision. So let me leave you with this. Permit me to tell you that your dreams are valid. If you're here, it's because you believe. It's already a sign you believe that your vision is valid, your dreams are valid, your ideas are valid. So if you came in here, you didn't have an idea, some people are like, oh, I just want to see what it's about. You are living here fired up with a vision. If you came in, you have a vision, you don't know what to do, you are living here with the idea to scale it. If you came in here and then you're actually scaling, but you need more clarity, you are living here with structures and systems to implement. Either way, nobody who comes in here is living here the same way. So please enjoy the rest of this summit and also make sure that you are following through with the speakers. Like I said, the lineup is amazing. I'll be back at the end to look at those founders who have been able to run the framework on their brand, and we'll just have something to give you. I mean, this is a founder summit. We could have something to give you, something to encourage your brand with, okay? I still remain Mercy Duru. Please stay connected, stay attentive, and enjoy the rest of the summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you so much, Mercy. She says something. She says, stay connected, pay attention, stay active. Ladies and gentlemen, please, can we just celebrate Mercy in the chat? Can we just put an emoji? You want to clap? You want to drop any emoji that you want to drop? Please just drop it in the chat. We appreciate you. Thank you very, 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 very much. You know, Mercy said a few things. She did say a few things. Is it going with the trends of the past, right? It has to be relevant to the present, and it needs to have projection for the future. It needs to have projection for the future. It is not enough to build something, but you need to project for the future. And she gave a wonderful analogy about nourishing it. You know, water, sunlight. Is your idea being nourished? But we are also encouraging every single person in this room this morning that your idea is valid. If you can't take anything out of today's session, just take it that your idea is solid. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to a very, very key session, and I'm bringing up our own keynote speaker. Please, can you just show me that you're excited in the chat? Come on. W's in the chat. Come on, come on, come on. Just drop fire, drop flowers, drop anything that you want to drop in the chat. Let me know you're excited. Come on, pour water on the floor before I bring up our keynote speaker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing up our keynote speaker for today. And first of all, please can you help me celebrate her for this privilege, for accepting the invite, right? So, ma'am, we want to let you know that we do not take it for granted. I don't even know where I want to start from in introducing her, but I know that in 2016, this wonderful woman started something that has transformed lives all over Africa. I'm not saying Nigeria, all over Africa. In fact, I dare say all over the world, because there are many persons also that have been a beneficiary of this that are not even residents of Africa, all right, and they are in other parts of the world. So, ma'am, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, she's the founder and executive director of SheCodeAfrica. You've heard of it. There's no way you tell me you've not heard about SheCodeAfrica. In fact, some of you have applied or clicked on the link one time, especially the women amongst us, right? So SheCodeAfrica is a Pan-African non-profit organization that is driving programs that have equipped over 65,000 women in tech across Africa. Please drop more fire in the chat. Thank you. With over 10 years of ecosystem building experience, our transformative work has earned her prestigious recognitions from organizations such as Forbes, 30 under 50, the African Union, Google, HP, UNICEF Nigeria. Yes, brethren, we can go on and on and on and on, but we will have little words to quantify Ms. Ada Nduka Oyom. Ma'am, we appreciate you, and it is a big pleasure to bring you on stage this beautiful morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please, can we celebrate Ms. Ada Nduka Oyom? You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you for coming to VBS 1.0. Okay, Fashuba.
All right, thank you so much, Shobande, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I'm quite excited to not just come share my knowledge with you, but to also be in the midst of other builders. When the team reached out to me, it was something that piqued my interest because of how much of passion I have for when it comes to building the African ecosystem and the Nigerian ecosystem. So give me a minute, let me quickly share my screen, and then we can get the conversation started. Okay. Please let me know if you can see my screen. I'm not able to look at the live stream directly, so maybe somebody can unmute and just let me know if you can see the screen clearly. Okay, so we will be waiting for the organizing team to add. Okay, great. So I think you can see it now. All right. Thank you once again, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking to you about turning ideas into sustainable impact. But before I say anything about myself, I want to ask you something. Now, I know that on my understanding of everybody on here is that you're all builders, or some people have ideas that they want to build out. So before I go ahead, I want you to think about this thing. What are you actually building for? Now, I'm not asking about the pitch version of your idea or what you typically go and put up on LinkedIn or the what you put up on social media. What I'm asking for is the real answer. Not that answer that it wakes you up at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night and you're either excited about that idea or you are scared of the impact that that idea is going to have. Right, so now I want you to hold that question because we are going to come back to it later on. So once again, my name is Nduka Oyom, like the organizers have introduced. I am the founder and executive director here at SheCodeAfrica. For those who do not know SheCodeAfrica, we are a non-profit organization that is working towards getting more girls, more African girls and women into STEM. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're trying to bridge that gender gap when it comes to the tech space specifically. We are focused more on technology. And that's a summary of what SheCodeAfrica is doing. And my own role as the executive director is to provide insights, provide the strategy and whatnot. And we have been doing this for 10 years. So 2026 will mark 10 years of building SheCodeAfrica. So I think I do have some insights that would be very, very helpful to anyone who is trying to build out an idea, or you're already building something and you want to scale that idea that you're building. So now, here's something that we don't say enough in, rooms like this. Ideas are not always the problem. Africa as a continent has never had a shortage of ideas. What we have had is a shortage of ideas that actually survive. We are a very creative continent. If you bring it down to Nigeria as well, we're a very creative nation. You could go out there and you're seeing people building out cars with scrap materials. The ideas are plentiful. But what we typically have is ideas that don't survive after 1 to 3 years. In Africa as a continent, what we have is a shortage of ideas that survive after 5 years, ideas that survive after 10 years, ideas that even survive a generation. The number starts to trickle down when you look at that funnel. And I know that, yes, this is something that it's quite uncomfortable for many people because many startups would fail. Many nonprofits, they dissolve before they even get to their 5th year. And many times, passion projects would also stop because they find out that, before they even find the people that they were meant to serve. And today we're going to dig into that why. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'm quite excited because this is a summit that's going to be bringing together like a gathering of people who are trying to build out something. I'm very, very intentional when it comes to Africa. I'm very, very intentional when it comes to the African ecosystem. And my own intentions through this summit is to be able to show you how to make sure that that idea that you have or that thing that you're building scales beyond 5 years, scales into 10 years, and even furthermore. Now, it's rarely because your idea is wrong, but a number of times I've come to realize that many people, the foundation that they build to hold their weight is very, very faulty. And if you're not able to address that foundation, the urgency without your architecture would not be able to build that thing. What it will just do is burn you as the founder or burn you as the builder. So I want to tell you something that I typically don't say often on stages. When people talk about, oh, SheCodeAfrica, this, that, we've done this, we've done that. Yes, it's exciting. Now, when I started SheCodeAfrica, I was moving very, very fast from 2016 till 2026. At the early stage, we're moving very fast. We're gaining a lot of momentum. Okay, for some people who don't have an idea of how SheCodeAfrica started, I'll give you some context. SheCodeAfrica started because when I was in university, I was already building a tech community, and I noticed that I would always struggle to get women to participate in those events. And literally the next month after graduating, I realized there was another issue. It was International Programmers Day, and it was just one Black woman, one African woman that was being celebrated by a top company. And I realized, hold on, I know so many women who are doing amazing when it comes to tech in Africa. Why are they not being celebrated? And so I decided to just start writing about the stories of these women. That was how SheCodeAfrica started. From writing about their stories, people got interested in wanting to connect with these women and realizing that, oh, there are other women like me, connecting, and then they wanted the community. And then that was how the community started. From community, we started building more things, running more programs, and then now it's turned into like a full-fledged organization. Now, in between all of this, we were gaining a lot of momentum because back then there wasn't that many organizations that were focused on what we were trying to achieve. So we were loud, we were growing, and we were getting attention. And to me, I mean, I was just like a fresh graduate from university. I thought that was the work. There was never the intention to build SheCodeAfrica into where it was today. Again, remember I said I just wanted to write about the stories of these women. That was just my intention. So seeing how fast we were growing, the impact we were making, people were talking about us. To me, I thought, oh, visibility meant that it was the same thing as impact. If we're popular, that means we're doing something. But it took a few hard lessons for me to understand the difference between building for noise and building for durability. Those are two different things. And I feel like right now, as a society, our generation, it's one thing that a lot of people confuse. Some people are building for noise, some people are building for durability. And when you notice that the people who are building for noise, 2-3 years down the line, their foundation is very faulty, it's very shaky, and the organization starts to like dwindle out. People don't talk about you anymore because again, you were focused more on the trends. Now, the moment things actually changed for us, it wasn't when we got our first like media feature from like a top media brand or our first press in interview. It wasn't when we now scaled into other countries to accept participants from other African countries, but it was when I stopped asking, oh, how do we grow? How do we grow? How do we grow? And I started asking myself, how do we hold? Right now, some of you might be building something where you're getting really huge traction and it's moving faster than you ever thought. Some of you might not even be in that situation, but you might also be in a situation where you're not sure. You know that the idea that you have is really, it's going to affect so many lives, but you don't know how to set your foundation in a way that it's going to hold. I also started asking myself, how do we build something that works when I am not in the room? Now, in the early days, when SheCodeAfrica started, it was all about Ada Nduka Oyom, Ada Nduka Oyom, Ada Nduka Oyom. But right now, it has gone beyond that. Now, one mistake that I see so many founders make is that they also center their entire organization on themselves as a brand. So if you take them out of that picture, the organization starts to fall, it starts to scatter and whatnot. So I had to start asking myself, how do we build something that continues to work when I'm not in the room? How do we build something that continues to serve people consistently, even when we don't have the energy? We don't want to be the organization that, oh, you wake up today and you're like, I don't really feel like doing this, or oh, I'm tired of serving women and whatnot. Now, that shift from founder energy to founder architecture is what we're going to talk about today. Now, this is something that's very, very important. As a founder, as a builder, it is one thing to have that passion, to be excited about your idea, but it's another thing to have the architecture, to have the systems, to have the process to make sure that that idea continues to run and run and run even after your passion or your momentum is dead. So I want to clear up something first of all. Now, because when people hear sustainable, they sometimes think that, oh, you have to be cautious, don't think too far, don't dream too big, play it safe, play it slow. But that's not what I mean. Sustainable building means you are designing for the version of your idea that's going to outlive your first burst of energy. Your first burst of energy might last you 6 months, it might last you 1 year, it might last you 3 years. But at some point, you're going to get to a point where you start asking yourself, why am I really doing this? In fact, you'll continue getting to that point every now and then, right? But the fact that when you start building sustainably, that is what will be that bridge for you to move from when you have outlived your first burst of energy into going to the next phase. And it means sustainable building means that you are building something that compounds over time rather than something that peaks at launch and then it quietly fades. Again, you don't want to be somebody who builds an idea that at the end of 1 year, 2 years, people stop talking about you. People don't feel like you're making any form of impact. You don't want to be that. Now, here's something I want you to write down, right? Speed as a founder, as a builder, it will get you all the headlines. If you're moving very fast, it will get you all the headlines. People will talk about you. Oh, this person is doing this, person is doing that. Yes, it will get you that. But if you don't have a system, you will not be able to build a legacy. That's something I want you to note down. Speed will get you all the headlines. People will talk about you, but if you don't have a system, you will not be able to build a legacy. SheCodeAfrica has been running for 10 years, and I can tell you for a fact, in that 10 years, there has been different organizations that have sprung up trying to replicate the same thing that we've been doing. And today, they're nowhere to be found. It's the same thing when you look at other sectors, other industries. What's coming to my head right now is, if you look at sectors like in the banking industry or finance industry, for example, First Bank has been running for how many years? For so many years. Dangote this the industry as well. The cement part has been running for so many years. Yes, there'll be new ones that will come up, but if you're trying to build a legacy, you need to be very, very focused on what you're building and create systems that even if more people come up at any point in time, you're focused. And people know time in, time out, good weather, bad weather, it is this organization. This organization is still standing. What's their secret? Your secret is because you've built a system. Now, I'm going to say it very plainly. Africa as a continent, I don't think that we need more launches of new ideas. What we need is things that stay. More infrastructure, more builders who are still here in 10 years, with stronger organizations and not just burnout stories. And when I mean burnout stories, I'm talking about people who tell you, after 5 years, maybe you'll hear on a news that, this organization or this startup is closing up, maybe because of bankruptcy or so and so issue. And then maybe 2 years later, that founder come and tell you, this is my story from building this, from building that. We have quite a number of them. But what we need to leave today's conversation or my session with is the mindset that we need more persons who are able to still be here in 10 years' time, in 5 years' time, in 20 years' time, with stronger organizations. Now, many of you in this room, you are driven, right? I can almost feel the energy. And I want to say something with care. The fact that you're driven, that drive will also be your biggest risk factor. That drive will be your biggest risk factor. And how you manage it would either make you or mar you as a builder. Now, another thing to note is that passion is extraordinary for starting. Yes, you want to start something, you have an idea. For example, look at me with SheCodeAfrica. I did that of passion for wanting to put more African women on the map, wanting to tell the stories of women. But passion is also a very terrible operating system for sustaining. This was a tweet that I made earlier this week, and a number of people resonated. And I made a tweet based off of my own experience. You cannot say that you want to build sustainable impact for something that will last you more than 10 years and you say it's passion. 10 years. Now, again, SheCodeAfrica is going to be 10 years this year. 10 years down the line, it's no longer passion that is burning it for me. Yes, I still have the passion, but it's now almost like it's a second reason why I'm doing this. Or it's a second reason why I've been able to be as sustainable to this point. We have other operating systems, but I'm not saying, I'm doing it for passion. Again, passion is one of the best fuel for starting an idea. But it is a very, very terrible fuel if you want to use it to keep sustaining that idea, if you're thinking of trying to build something that's sustainable for more than 5 years. Now, another thing that many people don't realize is that burnout as a concept, it doesn't come for the lazy people. It comes for the people who are committed, the people who give everything because they genuinely believe in what they are building. And drifting apart from your mission also does not stop when you stop caring. It also does not happen when you stop caring as a founder. Drifting away from your mission happens because there was never a system that was holding that your mission in place. It was just in your head. And single points of failures, it's not just a technical problem, it's an organizational structure problem. And most early stage builders, most early stage organizations are many times dependent on one person's presence, one person's relationship, one person's energy. I had talked about this earlier where I said a number of times many organizations many founders build the entire organization around their presence around their presence, around their brand. And if they take themselves out of that equation, that organization or that company or that startup is going to really, really struggle. Now, the thing as visionary builders, because this is a summit for visionary builders, if you really want to be a visionary builder, you need to learn to know when to make that shift. The shift from doing everything as a founder yourself to actually designing a system that will do the work for you. Now, I want to give you a framework that I also come back to constantly. It's in 3 layers, right? And these 3 layers is something that most builders are only conscious about one of them, or they only consciously build one of them out. Now, the first layer is your mission. When you look at your mission is your unwavering why. Come rain, come sunshine, why are you doing this thing? If you don't have a mission, maybe right now you just have an idea in your head, you need to also have a mission, because it's your mission that will keep you going. It's your mission that will keep you sustainable. Remember I said there's going to be tough days, there's going to be hard days. It's your mission that's going to help you keep track, or stay on track rather. Your mission should never change. For example, at SheCodeAfrica, our mission has not changed. Our mission is still, when I was explaining, I mentioned it, to bridge gender gap in tech by equipping African girls and women with access to digital skills and technology and, fostering economic independence. Full stop. Every single thing that we do as an organization points back to that mission. Now, if you cannot say your mission in one sentence, without multiple qualifiers, that's a first problem that you want to solve. Because being clear on your mission, it is not just a branding exercise like, okay, when they ask me what's my mission, I get to tell them this is my mission. At least I have something to, use as a feeler. If anybody ever asks me what's my mission, no. Your mission is a decision-making tool. And when I say decision-making tool, it is what guides the kind of activity that you do, the kind of program, the kind of customers that you serve, the kind of users, kind of beneficiary. Your mission is that. Your mission is that foundation. Now, imagine you're building a house, right? Again, I'm not an architect, I'm not a civil engineer, but imagine you're building a house and, maybe you want it to be a duplex. There's a way you lay your foundation that will make sure that it supports that kind of duplex. It's the same thing if you're trying to build like a bungalow. There's a way you lay your foundation. You can't lay a foundation for something that will support maybe a bungalow and then you're trying to build a duplex. So that's the same thing with your mission. Your mission would support you and provide structure for you in a way that when somebody says, for example, maybe somebody comes to SheCodeAfrica and says that, SheCodeAfrica, do you do something for women in arts? We don't, because again, our mission is very specific. We're focused on tech. Now, the second layer is what I'll call the model, right? Your model is how you sustain your mission. Your model is financial, it is structure, and it's operations, right? And unlike your mission that never changes, your model, it must evolve. If you want to be sustainable, your model must evolve, because what worked for you in your first year will not work for you in your 5th year. So if you're very hard-coded to the point where you're telling yourself, this is what it is for this organization, come rain, come sunshine, we will not change, we will not do this thing, your competitors would out-innovate you. I mean, look at what's happening in the tech space right now with AI. Everybody is trying to keep up with the trends, because if anybody doesn't keep up with that trend, they're going to lose a number of users, because now people are looking for how to use AI tools to automate and to make their day more productive. Look at what Meta is doing. Look at what X is doing. Look at what Claude is in Anthropic. There's so many platforms. So back to what I was saying, your model is how you will sustain your mission, right? And again, it must always evolve. You must, as a founder, one thing that you will do day and night is your brain is meant to be in operating mode. And I'm not saying you shouldn't rest, always rest, but always think of how can we make this thing better? How can we improve this thing? Always do research. Always look out like, okay, what are people doing out there? What's currently moving? I'm not saying jump on trends. There's a difference between jumping on trends and then there's a difference between wanting to innovate, right? If your model is entirely dependent on your own time as a founder, your own funding source or one funding source or just one type of relationship, it will break. If you ever try to grow it, it will definitely break. Now I'm trying to move fast because of time. The third layer is the machine. And this is what a number of builders skip. Now, when I say machine, I'm not referring to like equipment, if that makes sense. No. Machine in this model layer is the most important. Your machine is your systems. Your machine are your teams. Your machine is your processes that operate without you. All those documented workflows, people being clear on the roles that they play in your organization, your company, your governance structures, all the knowledge that lives in the organization and not just in one person's brain. Now, most ideas that fail, they fail at this layer. It's not because the mission was wrong. It's not because the model could not work, but because there was either never a machine or they did not try to innovate when it comes to that machine part. Now, let me make this concrete. Because frameworks without, examples is just a lot of grammar, and we don't want that. When I talk about those 3 models, this is what it looked like for us at SheCodeAfrica. Our mission has been constant. I talked about it. It's to advance African women in tech. It has guided every of our decisions, every partnership, every hire. When somebody pitches something to us, the first filter is, how does this serve our mission? And if we can't find any way it does, the conversation is very short because it's very simple. We take ourselves out of the equation. Oh, this will not help us because we have a mission as concrete. Now, for our model has changed 3 times, right? We started out as community first. Please let me know if you can hear me clearly. But we started out as community first, with events, having a Slack group, and just, running on all of those visibility that I had talked about earlier. Then we started layering in things like partnerships and programs. And then we started layering in things like grants because we're a non-profit organization. We don't make profit, so we need grants to run and fund the programs that we run. And now we're building, structured consulting and, long-term revenue models that will not collapse if maybe one partner tells us, oh, I'm no longer interested in funding you, all of that thing. The portfolio is our plan. For our machine, it is still being built. And I want to be very honest with you about that. We have, a distributed team across multiple cities. We have defined roles. We are building frameworks, compensation structures, all of those things. But it is not finished, and it will never be fully finished because what many people do not realize is that organizations are living things. Organizations are almost like ideas, are almost like kids when you birth them. And as kids grow, they continue to evolve. It's the same thing with your organization, same thing. Your organizations are literally living things. It will keep evolving and evolving and evolving. So that's your machine. You will never get to a point where you're like, okay, bam, we've gotten to this point. Finally, this is the end. No. And as a founder, that is how you must think. You must never get to the point where you're too complacent and be like, okay, you know what? We've done our best. This is, we're going to stop innovating, we'll just relax here. You don't want to ever get to that point. Now, back to what I was saying. What I can tell you is SheCodeAfrica, because of all these models I've talked about, or rather these layers I've talked about, SheCodeAfrica functions executively really, really well when I'm not in the room. And some people might ask, oh, how's that possible? And it's possible because it took years of me setting up a deliberate architecture to make this very, very true. So I want you to stop for a moment. I don't need you to take a note, no. And I don't need you to think about probably what you post after this session. But I want you to actually ask yourself, from what is on your screen, which of these layers do I have and which of these layers is missing? Just take a minute, maybe like 1 minute. Okay, so now let's break it down a little bit. If you are an early stage founder, builder, entrepreneur, your chances are you already have your mission. You probably have like an idea of, okay, this is what we want to solve, right? And you may probably already have like a rough model. But what you almost certainly don't have If you have this already, it's fine. But what you almost certainly don't have is a machine. And that is very normal. But you know that this is what you're building moving forward. Now, if you are a 9-to-5er, you have a corporate work, or you have whatever, maybe like you're on a salary, this thing, paying job, you have a machine around you because somebody else has already built it. Maybe your employer, somebody else has already built it. Now, the question is, do you have your own model for how you get to create value and leverage in that company that you're working in? And do you have clarity on the mission that you're actually serving? A number of times, many people in 9-to-5 also face frustration. Like, oh, I don't feel like I'm learning anything, or I'm making any value, or there's any impact in my role. And that's because many people just take up job opportunities without having an understanding of how their role, even if it's down to being a cleaner, how it plays a part to the organization. And that's where you get to see a lot of frustration from 9-to-5ers. They just want to come make money and then that's it. But that's not how to live. Now, if you're a student, or maybe you just recently graduated, or you're trying to switch into like a new career sector, you are most likely designing all your 3 layers from scratch. But the beautiful thing is it doesn't provide any disadvantage. In fact, it is one of the most beautiful opportunities that any builder ever gets, right? And when I say most beautiful opportunities, I mean because you have the opportunity at this point in time to define what's going to be your mission, to define what's going to be your model, to define what's going to be your machine. It's almost like somebody giving you clay to mold out your entire future, right? You don't have to fix anything like a bad architecture because you're basically building it right from the beginning. Now, we've romanticized the word visionary in this industry a whole lot. We use it to describe people who are making big announcements, people who have really, really huge slides when they come to speak, people who are painting pictures of, a future that sounds very breathtaking, like, oh my God, that's somebody who's visionary. But that is not the kind of visionary that I'm interested in. And it is not what this moment in Africa's development needs. The visionary leaders that I admire the most are the ones who hold tension. They are very, very ambitious about the outcomes of the organization, and they are very, very disciplined about the systems. Again, everything I'm talking about today, I'm not talking about somebody who's trying to build an idea for just 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I'm talking about people who are thinking of 5 years. If I have kids, even if I leave this earth, what are people going to remember me for? That is the kind of visionary leader that I'm talking about. Now, at SheCodeAfrica, we are building towards, having a campus where, it includes childcare, mental health support, all of those things. And to us, it's not a dream board. It is literally a roadmap. And the work that I'm doing right now in the organization, when we talk about governance, revenue, diversification, team architecture, all of those things are the foundation that I am laying for that future that I can see. So the summary of this is that if you have a vision, but you don't have infrastructure for it or the architecture for it, you are just being a storyteller, and that's the plain truth. But when you start to build an infrastructure for your vision, then you've finally told yourself and told the rest of the world that you're building for long term. So I mentioned earlier that, SheCodeAfrica started out as me wanting to write about the stories of women. So we literally started out as a blog post, simple, a literal blog post. And today we are operating across multiple African countries. We've raised over, 300K USD in funding. We've been recognized globally, and, we are continually supporting thousands of women in tech. But I'm not telling you all of this data because I want to brag or because I want to impress you. No, that's not the goal. The outcomes are the results of all these outcomes that you can see on the screen. They are the result of because we've been building the right way. Every system that we have built, every structure that we have defined, every role that we have provided clarity on, to other people it might look like too much process, too much paperwork, but the reality is that is literally the unsexy work that nobody talks about. when it's time to give maybe like a keynote or, oh, how I built it, how I built that, there's a lot of work involved. And that kind of work is what enables impact at scale. It's not your idea, but it's the infrastructure that's behind it. So all of you who are builders in this room right now, who are still going to be standing tall in 10 years, you're going to be people who not just have projects, but are people who have put in the actual work to create that foundation for your organization. So we're coming to the end of this, and I want to be specific with you. Please, at the end of this summit, don't leave the conversation with a list. Okay, these are things I want to, those are good, but don't just end there. Lists are how good intentions die. I want you to leave with one decision. One thing in your build, whether it is your career, whether it is your organization, whether it is your project, that you have been moving fast on, but have not been, you've not designed it to last. It could be maybe like your funding model. It could be the fact that your team cannot function without you being there. It could be the fact that your mission has drifted and, you're scared to say it out loud, or you're scared to accept that reality. I want you to find that thing. I want you to name it. And I want you to decide what you're going to do about it. Because whatever that thing is, it is not going to be a small thing. And, that is exactly the kind of decision that will compound over time. So, before I wrap up my session, I want to close with something very honest. I did not build SheCodeAfrica to be impressive, to impress anybody with our numbers. No, I built SheCodeAfrica so that it can be useful for a very long time to African women. Every single idea that I have with SheCodeAfrica, when I think about it, I think of, I think of how can this idea continue when I leave Earth? When people ask me, or when my team, people who work close to me, they know I'm not really concerned about the awards. I'm not really concerned about the futures. I might be a little bit concerned about the funding milestones because people, you need money to run your your organization. I'm grateful for all of that, but what matters the most to me is that the women that we serve, they still have access to what they need in 5 years' time. After I have either moved on, maybe to another organization, or have moved on, maybe I've left the earth. That is the real measure of being a builder. It is not what you launched. You can launch multiple ideas, you can launch 100 ideas, but it is what you have left standing after you leave. So I'm going to leave you with one final sentence. I want you to build beyond today. So thank you very much, everyone. And that is the end of my session.
Thank you very, very, very much, ma'am. Please, everyone in the house this afternoon, please can you just celebrate her for this beautiful session. Come on, drop the emojis in the chats. Let me see the applause. Please drop it. Don't just write very insightful again. Write everything that you can. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, please, real quick, do you have the time to take about 1 or 2 questions? All right, thank you. So anyone with your question, please drop it before I ask one particularly. All right. Okay, so let me ask one question. All right. Ma'am, you said something, you said that in building systems, right, that it's not just about that passion is going to be your headline, right, but systems is what is going to give you legacy, and systems, people, structures are really interconnected. And I want to ask, in choosing your team members, in choosing people to be with you, in choosing people who you think can take this vision further, what are the things that you look out for?
Yeah, that's a very important question. And I would, rather than just stating, oh, these are things to look out for, I would share my own experience. Now, when I started hiring full-time employees, what I would always look out for is, oh, is this person, does this person believe in what we're trying to do? If they're not interested, or if they've not shown any impact on what we're trying to do, then there's no need. But I've also come to realize that sometimes, while people understand what you're trying to build, they might not be 100% committed to it, but their skills are really, really good. So when you're trying to hire for anyone, I mean, the first thing is looking out for the skills for that role that you're trying to hire for. Again, if you hire for somebody, maybe you're trying to hire, for example, social media, and somebody meets you and says, oh, I'm really, really committed to what you're doing with SheCodeAfrica. I have done this, I have done that for SheCodeAfrica, but they don't have the skills in social media. You're already putting yourself at failure, because at the end of the day, what you need is somebody who's able to have that skill. So the first thing is look out for skill. And second thing, yes, then you can now gauge what's their level of interest in what we're building as an organization. Do they have interest, or have they shown some level of track record in something around that? But the most important thing, first of all, is do they have the skill for that, and then the interest.
Thank you very much, man. That was insightful. One more question, right? If I beg your pardon, just one more. Can I?
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. So there's this thing where, let me just put it out there that you said something that Africa does not need more ideas, right? But we need more ideas that survive when they contact reality, right? Using your own words. So my question is, for some persons that maybe they don't really need to push forward with their own idea and might need to probably collaborate with somebody or jump on somebody's team or take their skills and add it to that of another person, or let me just put it down like this, must everybody be a founder? What do we say about collaboration? What is the collaboration ecosystem like in Africa? Why do most of us find it hard to work with somebody? Everybody just wants to be a boss of their own thing. Is it productive or counterproductive for us in Africa?
So I wouldn't say it's an Africa thing. It's global. It's more of the selfish nature of us as humans. Everyone wants something. They want to be known for something. They want to be associated with something. But the reason why this happens, while people tend to start failing after maybe 2 or 3 years, is because they don't focus on the most important thing. People are really curious about what's it called? Oh, I want to be out there. I want, so many press people to talk about me and whatnot, but not really focused on the impact. They're not really focused on the structure and architecture. And then when it comes to collaborating, yes, it's something that I would definitely encourage, but then you have to look at the kind of idea that you have. You have to look at the kind of goal that you're trying to achieve. You have to look at maybe, for example, the kind of people or customers or beneficiaries that you're trying to serve. This is something that aligns, right? Then you just have to reach out to somebody who also aligns with what you're trying to build. Again, I talked about how it is the normal selfish nature of us as humans, where everybody just wants to do their own thing on their own. Now, if you're lucky enough to get somebody to co-build out something with, yes, I would absolutely encourage this. We don't need, for example, there's this running joke in the tech industry that we don't need another fintech app because there's so many fintech apps, right? It's the same thing, your own this thing, whatever industry you are in, you also need to look at the saturation. And then when you're pitching out to someone, you also need to think of how you're going to bring value. If the idea is the same thing, okay, yes, maybe for example, I'm building SheCodeAfrica, you have an idea for women in tech. What are you going to bring that I would find value as the founder of SheCodeAfrica to want to maybe bring you on board with your own idea? So you need to look at all of those things first of all. And then, like I mentioned earlier, it still ties down back to us as humans. A number of times, it's just like a normal, or rather natural, selfish nature to just want something entirely to ourselves. So I would say that on that aspect, I would just encourage every one of us to also be open to co-building out something. And even when you're co-building out something, you also need to look at the legal side of things and make sure that things are documented, there's contracts, everything, so that you don't have issues around, oh, this person stole my idea, or this person is now trying to push me out of my own company and things like that.
Thank you so much, Rob. One final question, and that is all. All right. So, as a career switcher building from scratch, how do you go about funding your model and your machine? This is the final question, I promise, ma'am.
Okay. How do you go about how do you go about funding your model and your machine? What I would say is, I'm going to paint maybe a scenario. I would assume that this person who is switching careers, you're already doing something maybe in another industry. Say, for example, you're in customer support and you want to go into maybe product management in tech. I'm just going to use as an example. What that simply means is that before you finally make that switch, right, you need to look at two things. And the first thing is, do you have the resources to make that switch into product management? And two, do you have the opportunity to start building out product management? Don't just resign and say, oh, I want to start doing product management, because the reality is that we live in a financial ecosystem where you need money for everything. So what I would advise is start saving up. have a saving model, save up for the resources, save up for if you are not able to get, maybe if you have a plan of 1 year. Another thing is also have a plan. Do you want to switch within 1 year? Do you want to switch within 6 years? Do you want to switch within 3 months? That's the first thing, have your plan. Then the second thing is start saving up. Okay, if I'm planning to switch within 3 months, I need to start saving up as much as possible. And then the next thing is, do you have the funding available? You do have the, the resources, the platforms. You can also start looking out for job opportunities. If you don't have job opportunities and your plan is, your hard coded plan is that within 3 months, I must leave customer support, whether I have a job or not, which is quite risky, but it's also very, 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 very courageous. So you need to have that platforms, join join communities, join platforms where you know that you'll be able to get more opportunities. But at the end of the day, you need to use your the customer support funding that you're getting, salaries you're getting, to save up for the new space that you're switching into.
Thank you very much, Ma. From starting out by writing about women in tech 10 years ago to writing the stories of 65,000 women, African women, right, through tech, you have come a long way, and we just want to say thank you so much, ma'am, and we wish SheCodeAfrica all the best in 20 years, in 30 years, in 40 years, like you have told us this afternoon. We believe that organization will keep going stronger and stronger. Come on, everybody in the chat, please, can you celebrate Nduka Oyom for us as she takes a leave? Thank you so much. Just thank you. Celebrate, please. Drop it. Budi, thank you. Let me see more thank yous. Drop it in the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was very, very, very insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining from all around the world, Joy from Port Harcourt, Izine from Kaduna, Kamal from Kaduna, Ruth from Abuja, Valerie from Lagos, Sandra from Ibadan, Chigozi. This is like National Assembly currently, because we have everybody from the part of the nation right here this morning, and I know that your time has not been wasted. Okay, you've learned that shortage of ideas. We have shortage of ideas that can actually survive. How you can move from founder energy to founder architecture. Speed will make headlines. Systems will bring legacy. Your mission is a decision making tool. She said a lot, but remember, she said that from a session that you do not need to do a lot currently. You just need one resolution and not many things to do. So one more time, please, can you celebrate Nduka Oyom for me? Celebrate her. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. We wish you all the best. We wish SheCodeAfrica all the best. For women that are watching this currently, you want to engage with SheCodeAfrica, just log on to their website. Just check it out on Google or on your own search engine, and you'll find it there. If you have learned something so far, please, can you drop something in the chat? Let me see. Yes, thank you. All right, moving on to the next thing. We are going back to back. Please, if you still have more questions, remember that we had the Convener session earlier before we had that session. So please, if you still have questions, just drop it in the chat. We are going to take them one by one. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, right now we want to go into our Tedx sessions, and we also have 3 wonderful resource persons coming up this afternoon. And just it might be brief, 15 minutes, 16, 17 minutes, but it is going to be loaded and packaged again, just like the first 2 sessions that we've had. Right now, I'll be bringing up a very, very wonderful resource person. Mr. Pius Ikeoba is the CEO of Iswipe Technologies. He's a Nigerian tech entrepreneur, educator, and product innovator, the co-founder and CEO of Iswipe Technologies. Can you see? Co-founder. Remember what Ada told us, that you might have to, get into the spirit of collaborating with people, all right? It will push your idea further, okay? So he's renowned for his visionary leadership and passion for youth development. He continues to design innovative solutions. Remember what our convener said. Are you building what is trending, or you are building innovative solutions, okay? And his solutions bridge skills gap. It accelerates digital adoption and inspires the next generation of African tech talents. I saw a stat that by 2030, majority of the world's workforce, in fact, pertaining to tech, would be from Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, please, can you drop those emojis in the chat as I bring to the stage this wonderful afternoon, Mr. Pius Ikeoba. Mr. Pius, you are welcome, sir. All right. While we wait for Mr. Pius, apologies. We'll just keep going over. Just want to celebrate every single person I can see. Thank you, Godwin Dominion. All right, Mr. Pius is here. Thank you, Anthony Dika. Thank you, Snoso. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please get more persons to join. All right, get more persons to join. Mr. Pius is ready for us. Thank you, sir, for joining. To you.
All right. Please confirm that you can hear me very well. Host, please confirm that you can hear me. Host, please confirm that you can hear me very well. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Steven. Okay, so it's really exciting being here in our midst to talk to fellow builders. The one thing I would like to bring to our notice is that building is very difficult, right? So it's actually a plus for us to all right, thank you very much. It's actually a plus for us to have that mindset that I want to build. One thing you should know is that building is very difficult and it takes real courage. It takes stamina. It takes strength for you to have that mindset to want to be. So this afternoon, I'll quickly be using 15 minutes to run us through what my section is all about. I would quickly be talking about how to identify the right people to build with, how to identify the right people, building with the right people, and then how to identify them. So one thing you need to understand is that, first of all, building is very difficult. So for you to build, you need the right hands, you need people to help you up, you need people to help you stay up. So I'll quickly be talking about how to build, how you are going to identify people you work with. So building great products requires that you don't just have great ideas, right? You don't just have great ideas. It requires that you work with the right people. Working with the right people will help reduce the strength. It will help reduce the effort it takes to carry on whatever you are building, to make it work and come alive very fast. But where it now gets diced, where it now gets difficult, is how are you going to identify the right people you build with? Because you believe with me that if you don't build with the right people, obviously you are going to have delays. They are going to have troubles while you keep building. So this evening, quickly, I'll be helping us as a builder, which I am. My name is Ikeoba Pius, and I'm the CEO of Iswipe Technology. I co-found Iswipe Technologies, and I'm working with really, really amazing team. So this evening or this afternoon, I'm not going to just speak with you or speak to you from a point of view that I have not experienced, right? So the first speaker did a very wonderful job. Ada, she did a very wonderful job. SheCodeAfrica, and I think I've heard a lot of things, one or two, about SheCodeAfrica. Now, building is difficult. So this afternoon, what I'll be doing for us is I'll be helping us understand the 4 C's as it concerns builder. So if you are building anything of value, if you want to build anything, like Ada said, if you want to build anything that will scale beyond the frame of time, beyond time frame, you need to build with the right people. And Iswipe Technology has been running for over 6 years. This year, 2026, will make it 6 years. And just like every other person, we started as just students, and it just started like an idea. And today, because of the right thing, we've been able to scale these ideas to work with people in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, and then having offices or office in Anambra State and then in Abuja. So it requires building with the right people. If I probably wanted to just do it alone, maybe by now I would still be struggling trying to find my feet or where the roadmap from Iswipe or for Iswipe is going to be today. But with the right team, I've been able to scale. I would not applaud myself alone that I was able to do this thing alone, but I would applaud every team that I've worked with over time. And this evening, what I have to do is quickly, I'll help you identify people you can work with. And I'll be doing this very quickly. Please, let's go to the next slide. All right, now understand that everybody have ideas. If you should have asked everybody in this room, now what are your ideas? You'd see everybody coming up with ideas. This is my idea. I want to build something in tech. I want to build something in clean energy. I want to build something in solar energy. I want to build something in renewable energy. I want to build something in agriculture. So everybody have ideas. Where the problem now falls into is now building it or who you build it with. An average idea win the right people, but great ideas, if it falls with the wrong people, it can never scale. That is one thing you need to understand. Everybody have ideas. 80% of projects right now don't just fail because there's no resources. You might have the resources, you might have everything it takes for you to succeed in your idea, but when you have the wrong team working with you, trust me, that project can never succeed. You can never scale with that project. But you want to scale this evening, and that's why you want to scale in your ideas, and that's why you're here on this call today. So that's what I'm going to be helping you identify. It's a great thing to have an idea that you want to scale, but beyond having a great idea, it is also very, very important to have the great mindset, to have the great people, the great asset. Now, people are even assets. People you work with are your assets. Having that human capital asset is very, very important in your idea prospering. So the success or failure of every idea lies with the team that you build. I want to identify how you can now identify. I want to see or help you identify how to get these people to work with you. I want to get these people to work with you. So going into anything you want to get into, any idea you want to launch, the first thing you have to settle for is that who am I even building it with? So even as a founder, probably we have great people here joining this call this afternoon. As a founder, you have different ideas that you want to scale. Beyond the idea, the next thing you have to look out for, when you have this idea, the next thing you have to look out for, who should align with this idea? Who should align with this idea? Just like we have the Visionary Builders Summit, it's an idea. The convener of the idea began to look for who am I going to convey, who am I going to bring to this event to come and speak for me, who am I going to bring to this summit. It's an idea. When you have the right mindset of people, you are always going to scale ideas, and that's why we're going to be identifying different strategies how to pick the right people to build the right ideas or to develop and scale that right ideas. Because you trust me, you don't just want to build for a period of 1 year, period of 2 years, and then that idea doesn't work through. Some of the times it's not even about funding issues. It's not about funding, because he asks a lot of startup founders, why are you not scaling? Why did you stop your ideas? Why did you decide to pend it? You have what was it called? Problems from spanning that I don't have funding and the rest of it like that. But I want to leave you with a message this afternoon that beyond the fund, having the right set of people is key. Now, I want to bring to our notice that even when we started building Iswipe, I said that we are even at 200 level. In our university days, we are in 200 level. So the funding was not there. It was the right people that helped scale. Even though the funding started coming maybe 1 or 2 years back, the funding in the initial stage was not there. It was the right mindset of people that helped scale this idea. The idea that bettered a lot of what was it called, subsidiaries that we have today that I'll be sharing with us shortly. Please let's move to the next slide. So what I'm saying is that there's a modern building environment. You need to understand the environment has shifted. Unlike while probably I was in 200 level, the environment was different there. So now we have a modern building environment that you need to come to reality with. That if you want to build in this modern environment, just like we have a lot of AI tools that we can employ these days, that we can use to our own advantage and to help scale up fast. So as a builder in this generation, you need to now identify the environment that you are. So first thing you need to understand is that the environment that we have shifted. These days we have remote teams, we have there are global opportunities. So you need to now ask yourself, there are polished CVs, competitive global market talent pool. So you need to now ask yourself, how are you now going to identify out of this modern or building infrastructure environment? I think the convener said something about building the right environment. So now out of this environment that you have now, how are you going to now bring your ideas to the right people? Now, a lot of people that even want to work, especially in the tech field that I'm in, will tell you that I don't want to work with people that are just starting up. I don't want to work with people that are just beginning to build. They want to work with remote teams. So you now begin to ask yourself, how are you going to get these people that want to work for you? At Iswipe Technologies, we at Iswipe Technologies, through building product and training talent, because this is what we do at Iswipe Technologies, we build products, we train people in digital skills. This is what we do. So it has become obvious that skill is common. Ada, answering one of the questions, she said one of the things she look out for is having a skill. Now, skill is common. To have a skill is common, but the right person that have that skill is where the issue is. So you might put out up now, if probably we are a founder, just try this thing. Put out a job application that you're looking for a particular role. You will see a lot of application coming in. So this is people that have skill, and trust me, some of these CVs that would come in, although some of them are just polished, but some of these CVs that would come in are people that have the skill. Yes, they have the skill. Give it to them. They have it. But now, how are you going to now identify the one that falls between or falls in your own idea, your own mission, your own dream? So that is where the issue now falls into. This is where it is rare. This is where it is rare, especially as in today's founding ecosystem that we found ourselves, that you'd agree with me that the funding is not there too much. So you now begin to ask yourself, how are you going to build in this type of environment where you have a lot of skilled person, but you want somebody that would actually align to your dream? So that is where the execution comes into place. On paper, people look very impressive. People, their execution skill is very, very important. But as a builder, as a founder, as a visionary, pioneering any dreams, any idea, you need to understand that you should prioritize output quality over years of experience. So some of the times you'll see people, they say they have 5 years experience, 6 years experience, but you, especially in tech that I found myself, you'd want to prioritize your output, not just your years of experience. Now, years of experience is very important because there are some things that you just look at and then you're able to achieve and able to do. But you look at delivered results, you look at output quality, look at what have you been able to achieve, not just your, yes, you have 5 years of experience, but over this 5 years of experience, what have you been able to do? 2 years experience, what have you been able to do? So you look at their delivered results over polished portfolio. I can go online to search for anything and then put it up as my portfolio. But beyond having this portfolio, you want to see people that can actually work with your idea, your vision that you already have. And then you need to look at people that help you align, or people that aligns with your team, because you already have individuals already that is working for you. So you want to have people that can align with your team. Because of our time, I want to quickly rush over to tell us a framework that you can use in identifying talents that work for you. Today, I tagged it 4 C's. The 4 C's you can check. Okay, let's go back a little. So there are problems there, but although I've sent it earlier, but it can be shared, but I'll quickly go through it. Some of the problems we have as a founder, is the fact that you might want to prioritize friendship. This person is my friend. I know this person. I want to prioritize this person over this other person. But one thing as a visionary builder, you need to understand is that for you to have a team that will scale your idea, you need to put away friendship and familiarity. You need to put it out away. This is a problem. It's a problem. Put it out. Put out availability over ability. This person is available, but it's not able to carry out the idea. You need to remove it from your choice of talents that you're looking out for. Emotions and hype. Just like you can go on LinkedIn in today's world and you see a lot of people. I was able to do this one. One thing I always want to bring to our notice is that people that are even doing that big thing, they don't even have the time to come on LinkedIn to post a lot of time. They don't have the time to come on LinkedIn to post a lot of time. So people that are actually building, especially in this era, in this starting phase that you are in, which is the building phase, you agree with me that you want people that would be able to do what it takes to carry on those visions. So you want to bring you want to remove every type of hype. This person, I went through their LinkedIn profile, they are posting consistently, they are posting about their work, but beyond this work they are posting, you want to be sure that they can actually do what it takes to carry on your vision. Your whole idea, your whole focus should be a person that is able to build and carry on this idea, to scale this idea. Because if you have the wrong team, like I said, first of all, it's not even about whether the funding is available. If you have the funding and you have the wrong team, that team is still going to fail. You can have funding and you don't have, now understand that your team is your structure. is your structure. So you want to have a proper structure before bringing in that funding. If you bring a funding in a team that is not well organized, or people that does not align with your goal and your vision for that particular idea, that funding is going to go to waste, and you're not going to make good use of it. And that's why I've been able to identify or bring to our notice this afternoon a framework that we can adopt in picking out the right team for our ideas. The first one is that you want to look at competence. Skill is very important. You look at, can they deliver on the job? Good and fine if they can deliver on the job. You have they've passed that test. They've passed that test. The next thing you want to look at, does this person have the character it takes? Does he have this character? Skill without character is risky. You need to have that at the back of your mind. You want to be sure that this person have the right character it takes. Take, for instance, I'm trying to bid for a funding, and then a part of my team just go online, because you need to even understand that before a particular, especially when you say, okay, you are co-founding a particular idea with somebody, you need to understand that beyond that, you as a person that is pioneering the vision, you need to understand that they begin to look at people around you, because they understand, people that give out this fund, they understand that if you work in the wrong environment, in the environment in this instance now is the people around you. The people around you is your environment. If your environment is toxic and it's not friendly to pioneer a vision, no matter the amount of fund that comes into that vision, it's not going to scale. So you want to be sure that as much as this person have the skill, they have the required character to pioneer this vision. The next thing you want to look, how committed are this person? You need to understand that consistency over perfection always win. It always win. Nobody wants to look at how. In fact, it is even important for you to start. You will learn on the go. Every idea. Now, understand that Iswipe as a company would not just start as a software developer company. If where we started from was a social media management company. Today, we've been able to upskill into different areas. We've been able to look at having the software development part, the advertising, marketing, even the ICT Academy Institute. So we looking at all those things. So you need to understand that beginning of your idea, you might not have it in all perfect picture, but when you are consistent, it will always bet something of great value. It's always bet something of great value. So you want to look at this person that is coming into your idea, this person you are trying to bring into your idea. How committed are they? Are they going to be consistent with your idea? And then the last thing you want to look in the forces is chemistry. You are bringing this person into your idea. Are they going to, because obviously you need to know that you are also going to work in a team. You cannot work alone. You cannot work alone, especially if you want to build something that will last. If you want to build a lasting idea, you cannot work alone. So you want to be sure that a person you are bringing in, a team member you are bringing in, do they have the required chemistry? When I mean chemistry, can they co-work with people in an environment that is not going to be toxic to anybody? Because in a toxic environment, in any environment that is toxic, you cannot scale in that environment. So because of our time, I quickly want to go into showing us how we can avoid wrong choices. So these are frameworks that we can adopt in picking out the right people to work with. Now, how to identify the right people? Let's go back quickly so that I'll quickly take that. How you can now identify, one slide back, thank you. How you can now identify the right people to work with. The first one is that use real tasks. Don't just go beyond interviews. One of the things we're able to adopt in our interview process is that we schedule our interviews to be in different phases. So we have the first interviews where we just get to meet you, know what you do. And then we have the next interview, which is a practical section. You come online and then you show us what you can do. Beyond your CVs, we don't just want to read your CVs. We want to see practical. So come online, pick a topic. Now, pick a topic of your choice. We don't want to limit you. Pick any topic of your choice and then show us what you can do. This is a metric that we've been able to use, a framework we've been able to use, a step we've been able to use in our evaluation processes, and it has actually been working for us. The next one is observe behavior over time, and then start with small tasks and watch consistency. Let's go to the next slide, please. There are red flags to watch out for as a builder, as a founder. What you should look out for in people you are trying to bring in. People that talk too much and execute little, you already know it's a red flag for you. Avoid responsibility when things break. So you are obviously the cause of this particular thing, but you are trying to go away from it. So it's actually a red flag you should watch out for. Need constant supervision to move forward. So a lot of times we put in our CV that I can work under minimal or no supervision. This is a phrase that is most of our CVs. But at the end of the day, you would bring in somebody that you always want to babysit. But so as a builder, you need to bring in somebody that, because obviously you are going to be so occupied with a lot of tasks, a lot of activities, that you don't have that time to come and babysit anybody that you're bringing in. So you want to be sure that you can have people that can work. Even Ada said something that in our absence, our business is able to thrive. And this is one thing we should cultivate in our ideas. I mean, I'm currently not in our Oka branch, but away from our Oka branch, it is still going on how it's supposed to go. Everything is still going on in place. So you need to be sure that people you are bringing in have the required energy, the required skill it takes for them to work under no supervision and move forward. Let's quickly go to the next slide. When you choose wrong, now it's obviously important to know that you can choose wrongly, but in any instance, in any situation that you decide or you've looked at and ensure that and see that probably you've chosen a wrong team member, you don't just wait, because delayed action is no action, and it causes a repercussory effect in your startup, in your idea. When you don't take action already, now you've identified that, okay, I've chosen a wrong team to come into this particular team. You need to now take drastic action to correct that wrong in the quickest time, to ensure that things doesn't go wrong in your startup, in your ideas, in your team, in your visions you are trying to build. Let's go to the last slide. Then finally, please, let's go to the next slide. Keeping the wrong person is more expensive than letting them go. You need to have that in your mind. You don't just keep the right person or the wrong person because you want to see if they will change over time. Keeping them there long enough would cause your startup more break in the long term. So you want to be sure that you take drastic action that is fair enough. So in wrapping up this afternoon, I want to leave us with this sentence that you don't ask questions. So stop asking. You don't just ask random questions. Say, we need this person, we need this person. Question you should start asking as a builder, as a founder, is stop asking who can join us. This is question you should stop asking today. Not just ask who can join us, but start asking who can build with us, because you don't just want to have people that want to come and join you to build what you are building that is not ready to be committed to building what you are building. It's a difference from joining you and be committed to what you are building. So as a founder today, start asking people, are you ready to help us build or slow us down? Asking this question would help you get started in picking out the right thing. And I'm rooting for everybody, every founder here that is building idea. I want to tell you that, like I said in the introductory part, that it's not easy to build. So if you've taken that idea, if you've taken that nudge to want to build, stay on it and pick the right team, the right environment to always act as a catalyst in fueling your idea. Thank you very much for having me, and have a very, very wonderful section. And to the organizers of this event, I want to say thank you very much for having me on this show in the Visionary Builder Summit. My name remains Ikeoba Pius on every social media. I look forward to connecting with top minds and individuals like everyone that has joined this call today. And in the end, would say our startup scaled over time. It's been amazing being here, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the bigger picture. Thank you very much, and do take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, please can we celebrate Mr. Pius? Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful session. It was brief, but it was straight to the point. Please, you know that you can still hear me loud and clear. Drop something and celebrate Mr. Pius. Appreciate him. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I'm waiting for somebody to drop something in the chat. Right, just drop an emoji. Let me see that we are still together. Thank you so much, Mr. Pius. Mr. Pius said wonderful things. You know, he just answered the question that I asked at that when I was saying that how do you determine the people that come around you? So it is not enough to build an idea. Thank you, Mr. Steven. It's not idea to build an idea, right? But the people, who are you building with? Are you building with people that want to build with you, or people that want to eat off you, or people that want to slow you down, right? People that will sabotage whatsoever you are building, or people that just want to steal and run with whatsoever you have instilled into them. All right, we need to know who we are building with, because it determines everything. We can't build alone. We can't build in isolation. We need people. That is one of the greatest resource that we have as humans. We need people. Okay, so that was a very wonderful session. And he said something important. Red flags are not just red flags are not just for people trying to get into a romantic relationship. Even in jobs, even in working relationships, there are red flags. There are some persons that should not that should not come near our business. They should only come in as clients or as customers. They should not come in as colleagues or co-workers or co-founders. Why? You are not on the same energy, you're not on the same wavelength. They do not value what you value, the way they operate. So there are some things that should not be first, right? There are certain things that we should get right at once, and it is the partner that we want to work with. He also says that with the wrong team, you cannot scale. You cannot scale. So it's not about doing photo ops and bringing people and say, yeah, we are doing well. No, it's about finding functional people that will build together with you, that will grow together with you. And one more thing that he insinuated, he didn't say it, is the fact that not everybody you build with will end up being with you at certain stages. All right, some persons will leave. Okay, so even as founders, we also need to learn how to let some certain people go. All right, when the time is right. So VBS, please celebrate Mr. Pius once again. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. I will learn something. Yeah, choose right. I can see you priceless. Choose right. Indeed, people can make or mar your vision. Yes. That is very true. All right, like I said, this is VBS and this is the National Assembly of Business Summit, because we have people all over Nigeria. Yeah, all right. Kaduna, Abuja, Lagos, Enugu, Ekiti State, Lagos State, of course, Ogun State. If I've not mentioned your states, drop your states in the chat. All right. We'll be having our second Tedx session very quickly. All right. Remember, I told you that we are not wasting your time, and we are also having a wonderful resource person. So you can see it's gender equality. All right. So Mercer spoke in the beginning, our convener spoke in the beginning, then Ada followed up. Then we have Mr. Pius right now. Then we're having another woman that is a wonderful resource person. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up with Ruth. She's the founder of Scraptop Nigeria Limited. She's a green agriculturist. She's a social innovator. She's a founder of Scraptop Nigeria Limited, a startup that transforms bio-waste into nutrient-rich organic fertilizers for safe and sustainable food crop production. She is passionate about regenerative agriculture, circular economy models, and climate-smart innovations that empower farmers while protecting the environment. So you can see this building scene. We're not just building and focusing on it's just tech guys. No, it applies to any sector: fashion, agric, the creative sector, the entertainment sector, the manufacturing sector, anything at all, as long as you are building, as long as you're not building bombs, all right, as long as whatsoever you're building the things that would, well, even bombs have the advantages, right? But as long as whatsoever you're building are things that would build our nation, right? You are something great, even if it's still at the idea phase. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to give us a disclaimer in advance. Our facilitator right now will not be able to put on a video on. Thank you, Chinecherem, Ian joining from Ilorin. Thank you so much. How is Ilorin? Hope it's going fine. So please, she won't be able to put on a video, but please pay attention to our words, pay attention to our voice in the next 15 minutes. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today. You are welcome to Visionary Builder Summit 2026. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You've been such an amazing compare. And thank you everyone for being available for this section today. I would like to begin by saying that this section is very important if you want to do business for a very long time, or you want to build something that has a legacy, something that outlives you. It's important you pay attention to this section and don't get distracted. So my name is Ruth Ede. All the other things you had are also a part of it, but I would like us to just go deep into what we are going to be talking about. I was given a topic that says the journey from ideation to revenue. And when I started studying deeply around what I'm going to be talking about, because I knew I was going to be talking to founders and people who have ideas, people who want to go into business, whether for profit or non-profit. It's came to my mind that ideation to revenue is not a journey, that the biggest mistake that founders make is thinking that ideation and revenue are different stages of business, right? They are not different stages. What I say about ideation and revenue is that they are companion in the journey of building a sustainable business. I think you should note that down. Because what are you actually ideating? What are you building? If you say I'm building a business right now, what does it mean to build a business? Does it mean that do you mean that you're creating a very fancy idea without thinking about how that idea converts into money? Even if it's an NGO, that NGO will be sustained by partners. So whenever you are building a business or ideating or trying to build an idea, what you're doing is a revenue generating section. You're trying to fine tune your idea to be of value in such a way that investors, customers, clients, or anybody that is your target audience is going to give you money. So your ideation and revenue are not in separate stages. They are in different stages. In fact, what you're doing during ideation is to refine your ideas or refine the solution you're creating in such a way that it gives money. It brings you money, because cash flow is the lifeline of every business, whether it's a non-government, a non-profit organization or a for-profit. Cash flow is the lifeline of any business. Immediately, cash stops flowing into that business, the business dies. There's no two way about it. No matter the structure, the systems, the model, the mission, vision, the objectives, immediately there is nobody pricing your market, you are out of business, because business is not business if there is no transaction, and that transaction is monetary transaction going into the business. Even if you're doing a non-profit, and why I'm shouting non-profit is because a lot of people go into social impact and say, oh, we are doing social impact, we are trying to help the environment and all that. Can you continue leading as the CEO, founder, executive director, or anything in that organization if you're not being paid and you're doing it as a your lifelong career path? It's impossible, because you need to earn from it. So whenever you're building anything, right? Yesterday I was talking to some at Dev Fest, because they are all in the digital space, and I told them one thing: whatever you're building, if that thing does not convert to money, then that thing is not yet ready. Is not yet ready to be called a business, right? It has to be. You have to be able to convert it to money. I say this to say that ideation and revenue are not in different stages of your business. They are companions when building a sustainable business. I'll run because we don't have so much time. Now, so if your idea cannot see revenue early, and as you're ideating, it's not yet clear how you will make money, you're not ready. That idea is not yet ready to be launched, right? If you're not clear how this idea will make money, sustainability is money, right? There is no sustainable business that does not have traction when it comes to their financials. So if you are ideating and you're building the product, the features, the solution, and you've not seen where money comes in, and it's not the money coming in your mind, but the money is coming in the little things you've done with that idea to prove that money is going to come in, then that idea is not yet ready. And we'll go into all of that very soon. So what we do most times when we start ideating, right, is that we want to build a perfect product. We have the perfect product in mind. And I say this because I've been there, right? I think a lot of speakers who have spoken started business in school. And I think that's one of the things we all have in common. And when you start building, especially somebody like me in the agricultural sector, wanted a perfect product. We wanted the perfect NPK ratio for organic fertilizers. We wanted to have, like, the perfection was on the product, not even on the market. And it was one of the biggest challenges we faced trying to scale the business in our early stages, right? So first, people want to get the idea right, then build, then they will later figure out how money is made. That is like the pattern. But I'm in this conference to let you know that that pattern is very wrong. It's going to make you go through a very, very long, exhausting journey. And at some point, the initial passion, ambition you started with, you're going to have a lot of burnout, right? And this is why we don't have so many sustainable businesses within the African space. And that said something about how Africa doesn't have a shortage of ideas, but a shortage of ideas that survive. It's because we all look for a perfect product. Now, the next thing I want us to also notice is that true ideation is not just what to build, right? When you're ideating, it is not what you're building. It is who we pay. Who we pay. If I'm building let me give an example. One of the products that I was able to build, I've been doing physical products for a while, was myself and a friend, some months to COVID in 2019. We were in the RB Global Challenge and we were in the nationals, right? 5 teams in the nationals in Nigeria. We built a product, or we should I say we didn't necessarily build a new product, but we innovated on an existing product. We built a wristband to carry the hand sanitizer that trended all through 2020. We're building this in 2019, not knowing that there was going to be COVID in 2020. And that physical product, we built it for society. We wanted people, we just went into the research for the competition and we're like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. And it's a tech product. It had the normal green, yellow, and red that the normal your traffic light has. But for this one, it was going to beep red when you have dirty hands, green when you had clean hands, and yellow when your hands are becoming contaminated or you've gotten any encounter with any form of death. Red is like it's time to clean, right? So when we didn't know that there was going to be COVID. I could have been a billionaire right now if we built that product right. Targeting who we pay and targeting how we can produce it for those people that we pay. We just built that fancy idea in 2019 and we left it, right? And then 2020, and I'm saying 3-4 months before COVID, 2020 COVID hit and every hand sanitizers became what made some people billionaires all of a sudden. Imagine that product if it had launched, if we were able to ideate very well on how to get instant revenue from that product. We would have been able to speak better to investors, we would have been able to get our prototype out in the market. Everything would have moved faster because we had the money in mind, right? So when you're doing business, you're building an idea, I won't say be Naira conscious because Naira is fluctuating here and there. Be the hard currency conscious, but be currency conscious, be money conscious. Don't leave the idea at the mercy of if the idea is now good, somebody will not pity me and do this. No, you build it with the money in sight, and this is the only way that you can be confident enough to attract the funding you need to push it into the market, because the money that is coming into the business as investment, you're sure that is going to that money is going to be gotten back because your market is clear, your customers are clear. So who will pay is an important part of your ideation process. Who is going to pay for what you're building? The next thing is, why will they pay? So if you're ideating, you're adding any feature to that app or anything, why will anybody pay premium for this feature I'm adding? It is a question that you must ask yourself. Don't just build for the fun of it. Don't just code and go into the lab or do anything for the fun of it. Why will people pay for this? And after asking why will people pay, you need to go out there I told somebody yesterday, I said, do a survey, meet people, run a survey, even if you want to run an ad with that survey, because even if you're building a product and your business goes out, you will still run ad. So before you start running ad for a product you've already invested the past 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months building, why not run an ad on a survey and find out how many people will be interested in buying this solution or buying this feature? And why I'm saying this is that I want companies that are here, or people that are going to launch companies very soon that are here, to be able to launch things that are going to be sustainable, right? Things that are going to outlive them, things that are going to pay. Even if you're exiting, it's going to pay you at least a tangible amount of money for the time you've invested in it. So what you're building, ask people questions so that you know the people that have the interest and what they are definitely interested in, so that you're not just doing something that is all in your brain, something fancy, and you're creating a solution for the people that do not need the solution at all. It's not a pain to them, right? So this is one of the questions you need to ask yourself. Why will they pay? Why will people pay premium for what you're doing? The next thing is, when will they pay you? When are they going to pay you? Are they going to pay you immediately they start using the product? Are you going to launch a freemium, a free period? Are you going to be doing outreaches? When is the money going to start coming in? Please, I want you to note that there's no company that has ever launched a perfect product from the start, right? But every company that has launched a product that had the people who are going to pay them in mind, they had either continued improving on that product or pivoted at some point. And pivoting was because the people they are targeting were going to still were pointing at a particular pain, and that was why they moved. Every business moves in the direction of money. Quote me anywhere. Every business moves in the direction of money. If you see a business pivoting tomorrow, they are pivoting to the direction of money, because maybe the fancy idea they had in mind is not the pain point of the individuals they were reaching out in the first place. But why go through all those pain if from the beginning we can have, even if we don't have a perfect idea of what is going to pay us, we can have something that is visible enough. And visibility is something that you can build on at any point, right? So when will they pay you? Is it going to start paying you in the next 7 years? Is it because there are some businesses that till date they will say, I've been in this for so many years, this one solving this problem. Nobody. If you're solving a problem and nobody is patronizing you, that means it was never a problem in the first place, right? So I want us to have that clarity. The ideation and revenue are companions in building any sustainable business. They are not different. The first question is, who will pay you? The next is, why will they pay you? The next is, when will they pay you? And then the next is, how will they pay you? How exactly are you going to get paid for this thing you're building, right? So instead of asking, is this in a good idea? Where is the revenue in this idea? Or you should ask yourself, where is the revenue? Where is the money in this idea? Because at the end of the day, revenue is not like the end of the journey. It is a signal. Revenue is a signal that you're solving something real. Now, I don't have so much time, but in the next three minutes, I'll just see if I can touch three strategies. I have more than that on how you can actually ideate better so that your business can be sustainable. Now, the first thing you need to look at, the first strategy is about the job to be done approach, right? If you're launching any business or building any product, you should focus on understanding the job your customers are hiring your product to do rather than just the future. So what are they hiring your product for? We are using StreamYard, we are using YouTube, we are using Zoom sections and all that. What this is a product. What are we hiring this product for? Instead of building a feature, you should be focusing on understanding the job the customers are hiring your products for, right? I like using this analogy a lot. It's like somebody that's there are two areas or two jobs that a tramadol can do. Two jobs. And that is why it's going to stay in the market. It's either solving the pain of as a medicine in a psychiatric home, or it is for an addict, right? So is your customer hiring your product because they are addicts? Or are they hiring your product because it is solving a pain? They are having a mental issue, they need it in the hospital or something. These are two things that keeps products or revenue coming. If somebody is addicted, the person cannot help himself. He keeps buying the product. If the product is a pain, is solving a pain of the individual, the person keeps coming. So when you're building on something, these social media people are all dying on. If they tell you how many psychologists were brought together to make sure that it is in itself addictive, you will not believe it. They built it to be addictive because the number of hours you're spending online is the amount of money people are making. So you look at the job to be done approach. You understand what your customers are hiring your product to do, and you make it more interesting to them, right? So you identify the functional and the emotional and social job, right? And then you start mapping out the customer journey. This is how you now find out at what point the customer starts paying you, at what point you start earning from what you're doing. I hope you're still following me because we don't have so much time. The next strategy is the segment first method. A lot of people, you ask them, what is this idea? Who is this idea for? They say, it's for everybody. We are solving the problem of the whole world. No, if you want to, and I'm not saying you cannot solve the problem of the whole world, but it's a bad marketing approach. There's always a segment first. The first segment that starts paying for that thing you're going to be doing. So if you're building for revenue, you choose a specific customer segment, you optimize your entire product for their needs, right? You get a defined segment and say, okay, this segment, this is the problem they are having, or this is the addiction they are having. I want to service that addiction, or I want to service that problem, solve that problem. And that is how you start making money. When you are now very confident, or you are now very, you've now serviced that market very well, you've expanded, you've scaled it up, you can now choose another market segment. And that is how you start dominating the industry or the sector where you're building, right? Don't just say, I am building for the whole world. No, choose a segment first, build your idea with the revenue in focus, and then target those people and ensure that they start paying you. And that way, you know that the idea is even valid at all. I'm hurrying, so let's go to the next the next strategy I have in mind. The next is the problem solution iteration, right? Now, I said it earlier that no solution or no product came out perfect, right? People have always sat down to iterate. And that is why I also said that every business moves in the direction of income. Every business moves in the direction of income. It is what pays that the business should be focusing on. So your idea, as you're building it, if it is a problem to a solution, or if it is an addiction to an addiction that you want to service, if it is, there are lots of things, right? You should be able to continuously test and refine both your understanding of the problem and your solution, right? You cannot solve a problem that you don't understand. If somebody says, I don't know if you've met, and I like using drug addicts a lot when it comes to business examples, because some people say I'm solving a pain point, right? And the pain point they are solving, for the past 6 years, I've met 3,000 people with this pain point. None of them has paid for it. Then it is not a pain point, right? Because if you see an addict that has a pain point of getting those drugs, they just want to see, they can steal, they can destroy, they can do anything to pay for that pain to be solved, for them to get that boost of anything they want, right? So you should look for what is really a problem, not something in your mind, right? You should look for what is a problem. And why its iteration is there is because maybe you're solving something as big as the problem Elon Musk is solving. You must also have a cash cow that is you're always milking to keep you going and building the big idea. For every big idea you're seeing, before you start launching the rockets and everything. What is the cash cow that is presently funding what you're doing at this point? As you're doing the iteration, trying to build the biggest of the biggest, you must have something somewhere in your business that is giving you cash, that is giving you money, right? So you don't just stay there and you're refining your building and everything, and there is nothing that is attractive. And I say this to say that there are a lot of ways you could get money for business, right? You could raise from investors, you could do grants, you could do what is it called? Equity and everything. But before anybody starts investing in whatever you're doing, you must be attractive enough. And the attraction when it comes to businesses is majorly for the for-profit business is majorly your income. Your income. What have you invested? What have you gotten from that investment? And how many people can prove that this is true? Right? Those are the things that people look out for before they see your business as a business they can take a bet on. For non-profits, what they are looking for is your impact. And you cannot reach the 1 million people you want to reach, right, with nothing. You also need funding to do that, right? So for you to be able to get these people that interested in releasing their funding, just like Ada said in her when she talked about her business, because they're a non-profit. If you check very well, before they started raising the $300K they've raised, they were able to pull out some funds in-house to create an impact that was able to attract other people. So in your journey from ideation to revenue, I'm going to end with this. You must, before any investor, any customer, or anybody is going to take a bet on you, you must have taken enough bets on yourself, on your idea, for anybody to be able to trust it. Because if you cannot trust you, why should I? Right? You must be able to show, they say show working, show that it is workable, it is achievable. And you can only do these things if you begin with the impact, the revenue, the income in mind. So if you forget everything I said about from the beginning of this section till this point, I want you to remember one thing. And that thing is that every business moves in the direction of income. And secondly, is that revenue and ideation are companions in building sustainable business. You don't journey from ideation to revenue. You build an idea with revenue in mind. And that is the only way you can build right. I think my time has been exhausted. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you've learned one or two, let me see your responses there in the chat. You know, this is a very important topic of yes, Chidozie, priceless. If you cannot trust you, target audience is important. Yes, every business moves in the direction of money. Thank you, Chinecherem. Thank you, Chidozie. Product improvement is continuous. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ruth, are you there, please? Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. I have one question for you, ma'am. All right. Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can.
All right. Thank you. In 1 minute, you said every business moves in the direction of money. You know, Africa is a very spiritual continent. All right. And as builders, or it gets to a point where, yes, we know that you are doing this because you want to do money, but for some certain things that start up maybe as NGOs, and then they begin to gaslight you, oh, it's not about money. You know, when you hear this motivation, money will take you so long, it's about impact, it's about transgenerational this, it's about that, and you keep getting all of these things from left to right, and it make you look like, me that I'm chasing money, I don't have sense, or am I not in the right space of mind to say that I'm particular about making money? So there are two extremes. Is it that can some persons go in the direction of money and lose the vision and mission of the business? And can some people be so infused in the mission and vision and they forget that revenue making is also very important? How do we strike that balance?
So thank you so much for that question. So a generation is about, I think, 20 to 30 years. I can't remember clearly. And for you to build, even if you don't even, for you to give birth to a child and train that child for 20 to 30 years in this economy, you cannot train that child with impact, right? You train that child with funds, with money. There is no business, whether an NGO, like a non-profit, a social impact, anything, a foundation that is not running on billions and has stayed for 20 to 30 years. It's not possible. It's not possible. So there are extremes, actually. So if you are a non-profit, your target customers are different from a for-profit business. You're probably looking for a billionaire, a big investor that is going to partner for a long time, maybe in the next 10 or 20 years, and make you their CSR project. Maybe a Dangote now makes, let's say, this young lady that spoke, SheCodes. If Dangote makes SheCodes her CSR project and says, my corporate social responsibility will be to train young women in tech through SheCode. Dangote is a business that is involved in making money. SheCode is not necessarily going to start making money, making products or selling anything to make money because she has bagged a big investor, right? So a non-profit is a non-profit, but you must be attractive and well positioned for the big investors to be able to see you. The way you can be well positioned is when they see that you have over time done something that is tangible enough for them to want to identify with you. If not, they are not going to identify with you, right? So it also takes money to do that, right? The extremes, we talk about the extremes because we start seeing a non-profit now getting involved in for-profit activities, and you say, you've left impact to do for-profit. That is why we talk about extremes. But if a for-profit is focused on for-profit issues, it's not extreme. You're there to make money. But when a non-profit starts switching to for-profit, definitely they have a mission or a structure issue, or they've not been able to organize their system well to attract the kinds of people that are going to fund them, right? So these are two different things. If you're doing impact, you're doing impact. If you're doing money, you're doing money. And if you're doing impact, you do impact well, so that people who are doing money, who want to also be a part, every big company has CSR, who want to be a part of the impact will now see you as worthy enough to be their impact organization. That is how it works, because everybody wants to do good for society. But I don't think there is anything that you start telling a Dangote had fertilizer, he opened a refinery, he's doing sugar. It's for profit. That is what they are there for. So you can't tell a for-profit business that you're doing money too much. It's just that in these days, people want to combine everything in one organization and say we are doing everything. Even the Tony Elumelus, when they want to do a foundation, they created a foundation that is not Zenith Bank, that is not UBA Bank. So you have to be able to separate those agendas differently and those things differently, so that it doesn't look as if you're doing, you're mixing this to this. But your for-profit is for profit. Your impact is impact. You attract the people who are going to fund your impact, or you become a billionaire and you do the impact with your own money, right? But the balance is clear. Don't mix the businesses together during your ideation. Know what you're in business for. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. That was beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, please count celebrate with Ade in the comments. Count celebrator. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I cannot reiterate all that you have said enough. I believe that we are still learning. Ladies and gentlemen, like we said, we're not taking your time. And 30, 40, 50 minutes, we're done. And we can say VBS 1.0 was a success. Please, you still have questions. Just keep your questions. I'm going to take one or two at the end of the last speaker session. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing somebody up real quick to the stage who is going to be taking this session. And right now, we started with what are we really building. We looked into the framework. We looked into building legacy and structures. We looked into looking at making sure that we are building with the right team. And now Ruth just gave us a masterclass on revenue generation. So we are just making it's a buffet. We are giving you all sides as much as we can to this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing up right now to give us another insight in how does our brand intentionally solve real problems in the market, or we are just solving what we like. Mr. Nafiu Ishaq is a youth development advocate with over a decade of experience driving innovation across Africa. He's also the founder and CEO of Saurinku Delivery Service, a logistics startup transforming last mile delivery through technology in Northern Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, founder and CEO of Saurinku Services, please can we celebrate Mr. Nafiu Ishaq in the chat as I bring him up on stage. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, JP. Thank you. And I've been in the session for a very long time, and I've been trying to, come before. I wanted to come even before SheCode, because she has literally said everything. Now I'm feeling, stranded, that all what I have prepared, it's already, displays. People have, the previous speakers have already said almost everything. But I'll try as much as I can to bring one or two things real quick. And so let me see if I can share my screen. Is it okay? Can I share my screen? All right. So I don't know. Can you please confirm if you can see my screen? Please, can you see my screen? Can you see the presentation? Can anybody? Okay, let me stop and share my entire screen. I think that's going to be better for me. All right, so I believe you're all seeing my presentation right now. And like I said, I'm going to go very fast. And I think the last speaker, Ruth, thank you very much. That was a very wonderful session. And the SheCodeAfrica and my brother, they were all amazing. But I wish I can really agree with you in some of the things you said, like the question that was asked last regarding when you're building, you should think about the revenue or the money aspect, which I somehow, find it difficult to actually, believe with what you stated. But we're not here for, I wish we can have a little of conversation, but no. But I think when we talk about creating business, the most important thing is solving a problem. If you are not solving a problem, if your intention, if your goal is something apart from solving a real problem, then there's a problem. Yeah. If the reason why most people say that you should not focus about the money, the financial aspect of business, is because many people, in fact, let's say 60 to 70% of people that want to go into business, they want to go into business because they want to make money. And if your only goal is to make money out of a business, then there's a big problem. That is why many businesses are failing. As you can see here, it says for founders and brand leaders, this slide is talking about design a brand that intentionally solves real problems, because that is the goal. If you solve problem, the money we're talking about will definitely come out of it. So don't worry about how do I make money out of this? How do I make money out of this business? First is think of the problem you want to solve. Immediately you find out that problem. I think I saw an article that talks about there is a company that actually bring in people and ask them to come up with a problem and as well as solutions, and they will buy it. So you just come and sit down like me here, and you talk about a problem and you provide a solution. So if you have a tangible problem and solution, they buy that idea. So why do you think this company is doing that? That is because they want to have the problem, because the problem is the big problem here. So if you can find the problem and as well as create solution to it, then you are truly in business, and money will never be a problem. Like, it will start flowing. You just ensure that you create value out of that business, then the money is going to come next. So that is it. Now the question is, what if the biggest reason, I think that's what this slide is also talking about, what if the biggest reason most business fail isn't lack of funding? Because there are so many people that want to start building, then the first thing they start asking is capital. I don't have capital, I can't do this. Funding, how do I make money out of it? Somebody should borrow me money because I want to start a business. Look, I am telling you from the angle of experience. I started building my business with no capital. Yes, literally from school, I had the idea. And when I get home after school, then I started thinking, now, what next? I want to start building. I and 3 of my friends sat down and start thinking of, what are we going to do? What can we create? What problem are we going to solve so that we can start a business? And that's how I did. That's how we did. So after that day, all the 2 of my friends could not see the money in it. So they left. And I kept on building, I kept on doing. And what I did was simple. That is why I wish that this session is a session that I'm going to be talking about how to create a business from scratch. But then it is almost the same thing, because we're talking about solving the right or creating a problem, a broad business that actually solves real-time problem. So that's how I started. I created a logo because I have a very basic idea, a skill of creating logo on Canva. And I went ahead to create some social account on, Instagram, Facebook, and I started talking about it on my status. And that was how I knew that problem, it is in existence and people want it. A lot of people started talking to me about, okay, we have a delivery. And let me tell you something very important. I'm sorry this is taking a little bit long, but I'll rush it as soon as I can. So when people started calling me about delivery, that was not the problem. That was what I could think of. So what I'm saying right now is, even if you are trying to solve a problem, the problem may not be completely clear. What I will say is that just start. Get yourself ready. Just start it. As you're working on it, the idea is going to be getting better and you'll be understanding the real problem that you need to keep solving. So I started with the idea of, I want to be just a delivery agent for small businesses around me. They'll just call me, I pick up their cakes, maybe anything, just to deliver. And then after a while, because I'm almost 4 years into the business right now, so I realized there is another problem, bigger than what I was solving. And I quickly moved from thinking of all these small businesses that cannot pay well to businesses that do pay very well. Do you see that? So I started with the idea of solving small businesses, a problem to small businesses for delivery. And I realized there are other companies, there are other bodies that can pay extremely well, that I don't want to listen to these small businesses anymore. So this is very, very important. You need to understand. And again, I see brand. When I was starting, there was this guy, I can't remember their brand name, that we were literally kind of competing. I was watching them on Instagram. I was doing my own thing and I was watching them. They were even doing delivery with their own personal car. And I don't even have a bicycle then, but I don't care, because what I was saying, what they did is they just have a brand, they print on it, and they have been taking videos and posting it on their social accounts, and they're doing good. But I kept on telling myself, even if they're doing it on their whatever, I'm going to do it without nothing. I'll be taking the public transport to deliver my product, and that's how I continue to do it. But lately, I'm not even seeing them on Instagram. It's like they're not doing the business, or they grow past the level of me seeing them. I don't know. But this is what I kept on doing, because I know that there are a lot of people needing my service. So I kept on doing it. I kept on doing it and following the public transportation. And that was how I literally understood that, okay, that is not the only thing. I can solve better problems to better people that can better pay me. And that's how I go into. So those people have better brand than me, but I was determined that I want to do this and I must do it. So I was literally competing. At a point, I was looking at GIG Logistics. I was like, okay, this is a $1 billion company. So if this is a $1 billion company, then I'm going to tap into this industry. If they're making, let's say, 1,000 a day, if I can make 15 naira, 100 naira a day, then I'm in business with all their infrastructure, the buildings, their cars and everything. Just me, with my idea, if I can make is it 10%? Maybe 10% of it, of what they're making, or even less, let's say 1% of what they're making, then I'm in business. So sometimes when I want to create a business, I look at these things. What industry is this? What problem are they solving? How can I better come in? Because at a point I realized GIG logistics can only bring it from interstate, but within the state, they hardly, do door delivery. I don't know if they do, but I hardly see their agent delivering to the doorstep. So and I said, if they bring it to my state, then I'm going to go pick it and deliver it to the customers. And that was how I kept on building. I was thinking of the money, but that was not the first thing. The first thing I do was to think of the problem that I really want to solve. So let's quickly run over these three things. The core problem, why brand missed the mark. Like I said, assumptions over evidence. And I have another experience on this. When I make some money, I saved some money and I wanted to build, I don't even know about this. I have not gotten an opportunity to be in a seminar like this, talking about building. I don't even know. I just want to create. I just want to build businesses. Because, after school, there was nothing. The support you're getting from school, now nothing. So you have to start thinking, what do I do? And that was how I started. I started with the intention I want to start with delivery. Then I want to go into many, many other businesses. The next business I was eyeing was food business. I really love that business. My uncle was saying, look, you have to do research. What is the, demand in a society? No, I have the money, I was also thinking capital now. So I have the capital. I went all in. I bought almost everything new. I started the business. I was literally, every day was a loss because I do not really understand the business. I only have maybe the trends or what I see other people are making a lot of money out of. I didn't really plan it and I used money. And that is why I realized it's not about the money. I had the money and I invested it and I failed. So that means it is a problem. You need to understand what you are trying to get into. If you don't really understand, then there's a problem. So you need to really understand there is need, there is demand. Who are the people I'm targeting and where are they? Is this a good location? These are all things you look into. So that's number one. Assumptions over evidence. You need to validate the idea. When you are starting, more especially if you think you need funding, you want to invest, you have a capital, you have or you borrow, or your family member will help you with, then you really need to ensure that you are not just doing it based on your own assumptions. You need to validate the idea. So the next is trend chasing. When you see people are doing it, you want to do it. It's fine. It's good. There's this book that says, Still Like an Artist. I learned so much about it. That when you see a business or anything that people are making money, you should also still like an artist, right? So, but what I would say is that do your research before you want to copy whatever you want to copy. Learn, understand it very well. And when you're starting, I think I'm going to talk about it in the next slide. MVP, you need to start with the barest minimum of maybe capital or resources. Just test and experiment and all. So the next thing is falling for the solution. People don't buy product. They pay for relief from pain. These are the three things we're going to be talking about. Relief from pain, frustration, and unfulfilled desires, right? So I think this is what I'm going to be talking on the next slide. What makes a real problem? So if you have been wondering when I said you need to find a problem that you want to solve, then these are the three areas you want to look into. There are more, but you can start with this. Number one, painful. The next time you want to spend 1 naira, 50 kobo, you need to ask yourself, why am I spending this 50 kobo? And why am I buying it where I'm buying it? Why? You need to ask yourself, is it a pain? Is it a pain you are trying to, relieve of yourself or something? You need to ask yourself. So create clear discomfort, right? Or loss that people urgently want to fix. And this is what you want to look at. That is why so many people will start thinking about, okay, what is it? What is it in a pen? What is the painful thing that people want to solve? So immediately you figure out, because this is the main business. Sitting right down here, I can tell you based on what I'm doing in the logistics, aspect. I can tell you a very big problem painful points that people want to solve, I can tell you, but I don't know other things. If I should know other pain point, I could have created another business, because that's kind of the problem. You need to find out the problem. You have to sit down and, find out the problem that people are going through and then solve the problem. And I can assure you that money will never be a problem. So frequent, what do people do frequently? Maybe you are a software developer, you want to automate some systems that people do a lot of things frequently. So look at the problem and create a solution that will solve that problem. Then lastly, costly. Maybe people are wasting time, a lot of time in doing something. How can you reduce that time? The moment you reduce that time, I can assure you they will need it and you will get your money. So if the target is the money, don't worry about the money. Think about the problem, and immediately you solve that problem, I can assure you that money is going to start flowing. So I don't really have much time to talk about all of these things. So the next thing is intentional problem solving framework. We're going to be talking about the intentional problem solving framework. Number one, listen more than you speak. This is very important. This has been said in many motivational speakers, and I've listened to it a lot. I read this in books a lot. You should listen more than you speak. There are so many cases where I sit with my friends when we're talking about business. The moment you start saying one point, the other person is going to pick it and give you 3 more points. And he do not really understand the problem, I can assure you. So you need to listen. When people are talking, you listen attentively. Learn. Don't always rush in trying to bring your own point. Understand it first. Listen. Very, very important. So when you want to solve any problem, you listen to people, interview people, talk about it, and then observe what people are saying. That is where you are going to find a real solution to that problem that you are going to create, and in return, you make money. So you should watch around routines. Like I said, what are people doing repeatedly that you want to automate or something like that? Then walk around and silent frustrations. What are people, silently, what is frustrating people silently? Look into those people and solve that problem. And I can assure you that you are into real business and you are solving real business. You're not just into business because you want to make money, right? So what do people struggle with daily? These are all questions you have to ask yourself. There are a lot of things like that. So this is how you start, validating your idea. The next is what? Validate the problem. After you think of the problem, you do your research, you ask a lot of people, then you validate it. Talk to real customers. Like I said, when I started this delivery, it was just on my status, right? Okay, this is our brand. We do delivery, blah, blah. I've been posting it daily. And I realized that, of course, there is demand, because that first day I posted, a lot of people reached out to me, and I understand that there's that need for that market and all. So very important, you should talk to real users, confirm willingness to pay and current, alternatives. So you should confirm that people can pay, because trust me, delivery, people will pay. Particularly the next people I'm going to be talking about, maybe in the next slide, the next set of target customers I understand in the delivery aspect, the delivery, sector, is that these people are willing to pay you. Trust me, they are willing to pay, and they pay very well. Yeah, I'm casting my idea, right? Fine. So it is a very good business. Anyone can copy, anyone can go into this logistic and anything if you want to, right? Because there is room for, for almost everyone. And there was this question that was asked to, I think, is it the SheCode or something? That the question was, okay, what if everyone is building? And that's a good thing. I'll tell you that that's a very good thing. Everyone in Africa, or in Nigeria, to be, precise, it is very important a lot of people go into building. That is the only way we can boost our economy. Right now, the people that are consuming, in Nigeria, we're all consumers. We don't build, and there is need for builders. There is need. So there is door for almost everyone. Talking about deliveries right here, you can jump into that business. There is room for you. You can go into it. Just go into any business you can see, you understand that it makes money, go into that business. There is need. It's not enough. I am not alone. Like, I'm not alone in Kaduna State here, in my state. There are a lot of people next door. I have a friend that is into delivery. I encourage a lot of people to go into, because I know the market. I know the market. You can't, how do I call it? Because people are coming into your business doesn't mean they're sending you out of that business. So there is space for almost everyone. Very, very important. So yeah, would you pay to solve this problem? Think about, are people willing to pay? Of course, if there is a problem, they will pay. If there is frustration, they will pay. That is just literally it. So the next thing is define clearly. Nail a one sentence statement like, we help who? I think this is called value proposition or something like that. We help who solve what and by how. That's very important. There's an example here that says we help hourly managers reduce scheduling gaps by automating shift matching and swaps. This is one. For my own, let me give you an example for my delivery. We help. Okay, this is the customers, right? I'm casting it out now. So we help e-commerce vendors. Whenever you hear about e-commerce, these are the people that you order online, and an agent bring it to you. You see the product and then you pay. That's called pay on delivery. This is a frustration to every e-commerce. Every e-commerce vendor is suffering from delivery agent from one state to another, because you have to trust the agent to send him your package in that state. And when there is order, you send the order, the agent pick the product and deliver it to the customer, and you collect their money, remove your own share of payment, and send it back to them. So now, for our own statement, we're going to put it like, we help e-commerce vendors, right? That's who? By what? Solving real-time problem of payment on delivery. That's the frustration. What? Payment on delivery. By ensuring that your goods are delivered, your payment is accepted or collected and almost deposited to your account almost immediately. Now we have our own clear statement. We know what we are doing. And if you should have a clear statement like this, I can assure you that e-commerce vendors will partner with you. But you have to ensure that you are trustworthy, because they will ask you, there are so many, KYC, they will ask you maybe things to trust you. But it's a game of trust for this business, I realize. But if you are true, if you are honest, I can assure you that this is a very lucrative business that anyone can, if you wish, go into. So the next thing is design the right solution. Build to solve the core problem. Avoid bells and whistles. Prioritize effectiveness over complexity. The goal, deliver immeasurable or measurable relief quickly. That's the goal. What pain is this? How can you measurably profile a solution to that pain? And I can assure you, you're into business. So the last thing is, quickly, you need to test and iterate. Like I said, when you're starting a business, you need to first launch an MVP. It's called minimum viable product. So for this context, if you're building something that is related to maybe physical product, of course you can start thinking of how can I build it small and start checking. That's number one, you build the MVP. Secondly, you measure the feedback, because when you go into the market, that is when the real problem, you now understand the real problem that is on ground. Because all that, your assumptions will not work. Like I said, I started with an idea, but I understand that this is a better way I can, further direct my energy into this business. And I've met, what I've been looking for. So that's it. Build MVP, measure feedback, learn insight from real data, not from assumptions. So when, get the feedback from the real users and then analyze that insight, that is where data analysis come in. If you have a friend, tell him that, okay, please help me. This is what I'm trying to do. He can help you. You can also do it yourself. Based on the response you get, then you repeat. That's how you build a business. A lasting and continuous learning beats one-time perfection. Ship what technology, Sorry, let me see this. What does this say? Ship what teaches you fastest. Yes. So continuous learning beats one-time perfection. You need to keep on learning on that problem you're solving. How can you better solve it? How can you better align yourself into the problem that you're solving? Very, very important. I think that's the last stage. So this is the last slide, from ideas impact to impact. Number one, these are the comparison between average brand and intentional brand. And you don't want to fall under the average brand. Number one, chassis strength, like we talked about earlier. 6, attention, build fast without validation. I remember when I was, when I started my delivery, when I bought the bike for my first bike, I bought CG and it was flashy. I did my brand, my pickup and everything. I went to my uncle to deliver something for him. I was like, Are you sure? Are you sure you're into this business real time, or you're trying to, you're seeking attention, you're trying to impress other people? That was what he told me. And I told him, no, I was just being myself. I was just being myself. Just I happened to buy this type of a bicycle, motorcycle, and it happens to be flashy because it was literally new. So I did my branding literally new. He thought I was just doing maybe I was flashing and trying to seek attention or something like that. So you don't want to do that. When you are into business, there is this ideology that I often talk about. Always come down to the zero level when you're building a business. Come down to the zero level. When I said zero level, I mean you don't want to start a business by employing other employee. You want to, oh, I have money, I want to do this business and I'll employ someone. Don't do that. I will encourage that you do it yourself. Get your hands dirty. I do delivery even today. I literally have over three job right now. I'm working remotely, physically, this and that. But to this date, I do delivery because I know how it works. And when I employed my staff, if they should come with any excuse, I know. If they're lying, I know clearly because I was into that business by myself. I started it myself, and I built it to this level that it is. So nobody's going to, cause any problem. You know the in and out of that business. And if everything goes wrong, you can still I can pull off this cloth and get my brand merch and start doing delivery myself. Because it happens to me even the last Salah festival. All of the riders were out and I called their numbers, they're not picking. What I did, I put my clothes and I did the delivery. In 2-3 hours, I made my money and I closed it. I was smiling. They should go and rest, no problem. I know how it works. So very, very important. What you want to do is what? Clarifies a painful problem, validate rigorously, and create lasting value. This is the only way you can create what? A solid business. So the impact formula said that problem clarity plus execution discipline equals to sustainable brand. Start small, validate relentlessly, and let real problems guide design. Sorry, I'll be rushing because somebody is waiting for me. I'm very sorry. So I think this is the end of my talk. I hope that you people are listening to me because I can literally see only the slide here. I don't know. Please, can you confirm that we're together? Yes, can you hear me? I hope I'm not speaking to myself all this while.
We can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I think that is it. If there is any question, I can take one or two.
Can we celebrate Mr. Ishaq in the chat? And I want to thank you all too for staying up till now. Thank you so much, sir. You said beautiful things. Business aim to solve a problem. We must go with, are we solving a problem? How are we building an intentional brand? And what's more I love about your story is that you didn't give us theory. Nobody has come here to give us theory actually, but it got me to the fact that you have practical results of what you were doing. You gave us an instance of how you started with somebody, but because they didn't see money immediately, they left. But look at it today. You have employed persons. All right. So is there anybody who wants to ask a question before I ask mine? Just drop it in the chat. Just ask a question. But I'm going to ask you one question, Mr. Nafiu. Also, please, the questions should not be for Mr. Nafiu, Mr. Ishaq alone. If you have questions for the convener, have questions for Mr. Pius, you have questions for Ruth, please just drop them in the comments. So, sir, my question is at the beginning of your business, all right? At the very beginning of your business, what were the key challenges that you faced that you think is general to what every other person can face when starting to build out a brand? Key challenges you faced when building your business.
Okay, so thank you very much for that question. But if I am going to be honest with you, I can't say any challenge. Why? Because, when you started from zero, When you start a business without investing nothing, then I feel like there will be no challenge. Even if there is a challenge, of course, there is one way or the other, but I don't even see it as a challenge. In fact, the first day, the customer called me that, okay, I have a delivery. I think I still have it on my Instagram page. Okay, so that day, I picked the product. I went to where I am to pick the package. And when I was in transit to the location of my delivery, I don't know, I was literally happy. Do you know what I was saying? That I was spending somebody's money here. It's not my money because I didn't invest nothing. So I was inside enjoying the ride, and it was cloudy when I was coming back. There was this traffic jam, and I was literally trekking from one point to the other to get to the other side and take another bus. I was literally enjoying myself. So yes, there is challenges. For example, when I started, at a point when I started getting more customers, it was frustrating to see my phone ring because I know I need to start thinking of the cost. How much am I going to charge her or him, the person, and how much will it take me to go to that destination? Because in most cases, sometimes I do delivery and come back with nothing in my pocket. One thing I know that I have never, even when I started, I've never added 1 naira from my pocket, but I do come back with 0. I spend all the money I collected from the customer, but I deliver it. So to me, that was just literally a success. And what I was looking at was, if I'm doing this, what if in future I can have 10, 5, 15 deliveries waiting for me? I know that's going to be money because, by the time I deliver this, the next point is going to be maybe closer. Sometimes in one, place, you can deliver 2 things and you get 2 payment or something like that. So to me, I can't say there is a frustration and challenge really, because I literally enjoy all the process of when I started building to this date. I'm still enjoying this business. Is it pays me well. Yes. So I don't think there's any challenge. But if there is any question that might remind me of any challenge I've gone through and I forgot because I've made money, I don't. Maybe you can ask. Yes. Sorry,
So
I can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah, my apologies. Now I have one question for you, sir, on the screen. That how do you source for funds to build an MVP if such venture is capital intensive?
I said, like I said earlier, I didn't source for any fund. I did not invest nothing in the business. I started with just an idea, and the next fund that I can say is my skills, because I literally built the logo on Canva, which is literally free. And I created the social accounts, Instagram, Facebook, and the WhatsApp that have been pushing that business. I did not invest nothing. I can assure you that I didn't invest nothing, and I'm not even looking forward to funds, any kind of funds right now, because I see how the business is going. Like I said, remember the idea, the business I told you about? I had the money and I wanted to go all in with the money, and I wasted the money. I failed. So I solely believe that you can start this particular one and with no capital. And I'm not looking forward to get any source of funding from anybody. I'm funding myself, and I'll continue to do it. Because the moment you start thinking of funding, how do I get funds to start a business, or how do I get you? In fact, you only look for funds if you want to scale. Of course, I need funds to scale, but I don't want, because I know I don't want it. I don't know why I'm saying I don't want it, but I don't want it. If I want to scale now, I can scale with my own money, right? So yeah, literally, I didn't invest nothing, and I'm still into the business, and it's working for me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Nafiu Ishaq. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your time. Please, people in the house, please, can we celebrate Mr. Ishaq? That's been a very, very deep session that he has just given us. Thank you so much, Sam. We wish your business, and we wish that you don't just do the north alone and you come down to the south also. All right, very soon. All right, thank you very much, sir. It's been an amazing time with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Pius, are you there with me, sir? Mr. Pius, I want you to answer this question, all right? Because you did something around building, around partners, okay? So can you just answer this question real quick that, how do you get partners to trust your business? You're the one who taught us how you need to build with the right team. But from another perspective now, how do we get partners to trust our business? Are you there, Mr. Pius?
All right, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Thank you.
All right. So the first thing you need to be aware of is you that have the idea, you should be the number one pioneer of the idea. So you're the one that have this idea. So when you trust yourself, now you need to understand that nobody wants to work with a vision that is blurry. Nobody wants to work with something that seems not to be working. So you that is the pioneer of this vision, you need to trust your idea as first instance, and then you need to be ready to invest in your idea. I think Ruth talked something about investing, being the first investor in your own business, in your own idea. You need to source income to invest. So now, talking to the part of, or getting to the question of how to get partners to trust your business, the truth is that everybody wants to work with something that is working. And that's why you see in our society these days, everybody wants to partner with a business, an individual that seems to be successful. So if your idea is visionary enough, if your idea is if it can last the test of time, then obviously you don't have to drag for partners to come. You don't have to look for partners. They would come. So it might be tough maybe during the initial stage when it's as if there's no funding, no capital injection into the business. But along the way, people that have the vision, that wants to pioneer the vision with you, would come. But then if they are not coming, how to trust it? And just like I said, you look at people that are ready to commit to you or commit to your business in the long term and not just in the short term. You look at people that have the same mindset as you, the builder's mindset. Now, this is the first thing you need to actually look at again. People that have the builder's mindset, because there are some people that just come, the mindset they have is, let me just get what is in the business for me and go away. They don't want to give into the business. And that's why I need to look at people that don't have the builder's mindset, will not want to give back to the business. They want just what the business can give to them. And in that instance, you know automatically that this person is not for your business. So you look at people that are ready to be consistent in the long term, and then people that have what it takes to give back to the business and not just to take from the business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that beautiful session. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are still with us in this house, just drop your comments in the chat. We're rounding off in the next 10 minutes. And I just want to appreciate every single person for staying to this time. Please, before I bring up our convener, can we celebrate everybody that has spoken here, that has impacted us in any way, from Ada to Mr. Nafiu, to Mr. Pius, to Ruth. Please, can we just celebrate them in the chat and just tell them thank you, thank you, thank you. Just celebrate them in the chat. Thank you for coming to VBS 1.0. Like I've been saying jokingly all day, this is National Assembly. Oh, I didn't know Ruth was still in the building. All right. Permit me, please, Mercy. Let me take this final one. All right. So, Ruth, please, does that mean that for impact and for profit, goals can't be made from the same business and must be diversified? In 1 minute, ma'am, please, can you answer that for us? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that question. For impact and for profit can actually coexist, right? But non-profit, like I said specifically, it's another business model entirely. So what I do at Scraptop is we're an organic fertilizer production company, but we also run an initiative called the Greener Initiative, where we have secondary schools pitch for, like, they pitch projects or products that are sustainable projects, like a competition, and we fund the first 3 winners. We give them financial rewards. It's like a CSR project, right? We also do the Go Organic Farmers Scheme. Just last week, we were out with people with disability, training them on how to farm. So around what you also do for business, there must be some freebies you can give out as impact, right? But it doesn't take away what you're doing majorly for money. You just have those activities around what you do as business to add up to what you're doing in society. This is different from a non-profit, which is fully out there to do impact and to touch lives, right, is totally different. They can't do anything for money as a non-profit, right? But a for-profit can have some activities that are also for impact as part of what they do, just to ensure that society continues moving. It doesn't mean that if you have a business, you can never do anything to touch society. No, that's not what I meant. I hope you understand the concept.
Yes, we do, Ma. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma. Thank you very much, Ruth, for that answer. And let me use that to pivot into this final segment. That not final segment, we are done. All right, but let me pivot into it. That most of these resource persons, all right, we are building a community here at VBS whereby we'll be able to have access to all of these things. All right, and I'm going to be bringing up the convener to shed more light on this, and we'll begin to round up. Just two more things, or just one thing, and we can say VBS 1.0, VBS 2026 is a success. So, ladies and gentlemen, can you please celebrate the convener of Visionary Builders Summit, Visionary Builders Summit, Mercy Duru? Can you celebrate her in the chat session as I bring her to the stage?
Okay, thank you so much, JP. JP has been an amazing host. You agree with me that JP has been an amazing host, and I sincerely appreciate you. Okay, thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to every person in the audience. I've been looking at the comments. You guys have been active. You guys have been following, and this is what this summit is about. I'm so excited about the questions. I think Ruth left. I had to bring her back. I said, please come and answer this question, because this is why we're here, to gain clarity. And for any other person that has questions, this is one reason why you should be part of the community, because we get to have access to these resources when you are part of the community. So those of you that registered and you didn't join the community, this is your cue to go and click that link, and we can have you ask more of these questions, guide you step by step into your visionary building moments. Yes. So I'm here to do just a few things before we wrap this up. And first off, I want to keep my promise. I made a promise that if anybody is able to use the framework to analyze their the viability of their vision, we'll have something for them. So if we have such persons, please indicate. The host is going to highlight you, so that we may just take one person depending on how many people we have, or we may have to move you over to the community and do it. So if you have that, please signify so we can know you and the team will reach out to you. If you need clarity on how you can actually run the viability test on your vision, please, that's why we're here, just part of the community. And moving forward, I want to thank everybody who has been a part of this. I would not have been able to do this without God, of course. God has been the one driving everything here. And then my amazing team, they know that if it's not excellence, then we are not putting it out. So I had to we've all worked excellently to be able to bring this. I believe in excellence at your level. So whatever you do, make sure you do it excellently. And trust me, the team have done so well to be here, and I want to appreciate them. I want to appreciate the speakers. You know, I was speaking to somebody, I'm like, some of these speakers, I've never even met them in person, but they made the sacrifice to be here. I don't take it for granted. I want to say a big thank you to every one of you for being part of this. And to you who has been here, I've been seeing a lot of comments here, Dozier, you've been very active. We've been seeing Chinaza, Victoria, Yusuf, Assad, Priceless, Rukayat. You guys have just been awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of making history. And I will not leave here without thanking our sponsors and partners. They made this very much, in fact, possible. We have Falitom, we have Kim Plus, we have SMC Dial, we have our media partners, and that's Presdia. So trust me, after this event, you're going to be reading it in the news. That's why I'm telling you, yeah, you're part of making history. So you tell people, oh, when you open your news feed, you're going to say, people, oh, I attended this event, because we have a media partner that will be publishing this event. The links will be shared to the community. More reasons why you should join the community, because you're part of a movement. Thank you to all our partners. Thanks to all our sponsors. We could not have done this without you. Thank you. So before we go, we're making it a culture to make a pledge. So we're going to take the VBC pledge. So when I say VBC, that is Visionary Builders Community, because now you're part of the community. So you're going to be repeating this. So we'll say it together, since you may not be able to repeat after me, but say it together as we quickly take this pledge. So the first one is, I pledge to God Almighty to be a faithful steward of the visions I carry. You're here, you're a visionary builder. So first you're pledging to God, your creator. The next one is, let's go. The next one is, I pledge to myself to pursue my visions and personal development. So I'm just explaining them briefly so that you understand what you're pledging to, then we'll take it over again. So you're pledging to yourself that you're going to pursue your visions and you're going to pursue personal development. You need to become a person that can deliver your visions. The next pledge is to posterity. You're pledging to posterity to always do the right things and also do things rightly. So you're going to make sure that you're not just seeking your own selfish good, you're seeking the common good when pledging to posterity. And the last one you're pledging to is to VBC. You're pledging to this community as a member to be an ambassador of visionary leadership and sustainable building. So let's take it over from beginning and we'll just read it through. Yes, thank you. Now, I pledge to God Almighty to be a faithful steward of the visions I carry. I pledge to myself to pursue my visions and personal development. I pledge to posterity to always do the right things and also do things rightly. I pledge to VBC to be an ambassador of visionary leadership and sustainable building. Thank you so much. Remember, you've made this pledge, and I remain Mercy Duru on all platforms. Please connect with me. Make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel right away so you can get more updates. Connect with me as Mercy Duru on every platform. I'm a human capital developer who is passionate about your personal development and your career growth. Thank you for doing this with us, and this is me signing out. Make sure you join the community because more in-house trainings will be going there to guide you into building as a visionary. Thank you.